Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Northeast Scene Podcast. This is Keith.
And Tommy.
It's Monday night. You know what that means. Another episode of the Northeast Scene. You ask, we deliver. Actually, I don't know if anyone's actually asking, but we're going to keep delivering.
No, people have said some really nice stuff recently, and I'm very, very, excited because people are saying nice things, and I'm like, okay, so we're headed in the right direction. And the one thing I keep getting from people is like, it sounds so good. Like, it sounds better than other podcasts. How do you guys do it? And I'm like, ask Keith. I don't know.
Well, you know what? That's a perfect segue. There's something I want to talk about right up front. All right. You ready for this?
Yes.
All right. Now, doing any kind of creative project with anyone, whether it be a friend or a family or just a random person you meet off Craigslist, there's bound to be some kind of difficulty to overcome, right?
100%.
You see where I'm going with this?
Oh, yeah.
Now, when we start, you and I have never been in any kind of fight ever. I think we had two really minor things, which were just stupid. You know, they were just...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like nothing big.
One time I was like really self-conscious about my posture or something.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I don't even remember. It was
you know what though? That was something I did it at, like, cause it was like, you know how we are with stuff like that, especially, you know, it's like me, you and Doug and everybody hanging out. We're breaking balls. Like we're, you know, giving each other a hard time. And I knew as soon as I said something, I hit a nerve and I was like, fuck, I didn't mean to like say something. Cause you were like super, you could tell that like that kind of cut to the core. I was like,
the air changed in the room.
Yeah, it was definitely not cool. And I remember who was there when I said it? I think it was Doug, but when we were out later that night, we were at the bar and they were like, yo, did you make fun of him for that on purpose? And I was like, I was just teasing him, like, cause like, that's what we do. And he's like, yeah, that's a big deal. I was like, I didn't know that.
No, because I used to look so fucked up all the time that I was desperate in my mind to think that I looked great all the time. And I would stand crooked. I still do sometimes. I was in the park with some friends the other week and they're like, oh, you're doing like the teenager standing slumped over thing. And in my head, I'm like, oh, fuck. So I'm always trying to like make myself stand up straight because I'm tall too. Like
yeah, you are. Yeah. How tall are you? 6'3", 6'4"?
6'2".
Okay.
So I don't want to be like old and really. I don't want to be old and really slumped over. So I try to stand up straight. But anyway, let me circle back.
Yeah.
So I knew when we started doing this thing, eventually there was going to be some kind of disagreement, and I just didn't want it to happen because we're really good friends.
We are. We're really close.
We don't argue. We don't get into arguments. That we don't have great difficulties to overcome. But to pull back the curtain a little bit, the one thing we have trouble with this podcast is technical difficulties. And
Tommy's technical difficulties.
No, I have them too. So I'm not putting it all on you, but I imagine this is the case with any podcast. So to deliver the same quality show that we want every week and make it sound good, that was a huge sticking point with me. Oh, I wanted it to sound good. I wanted it to sound professional because so many times people recommend podcasts and then I listen to them and it's like they recorded it with the voice recorder thing on their iPhone.
Yeah, and I'm out. I'm out. When I hear low quality like that, I'm out instantly.
Yeah, and I hear it and I'm like, people listen to this?
Yeah.
Like this is what everyone's making a big deal about?
And then conversely, when I hear stuff that's well produced, like you know that one that we were talking, Shit Town,
yes.
This American Life one, I was hooked immediately because of the way they fade in and fade out. The way they use quotes, I'm like, dude, this is fucking, somebody really thought this through. This is so smartly done and it's clever and it sounds good. Like
yeah,
that.
they're like, that's like that comes from the folks who make This American Life. That's like the top podcast or
like
one of them.
It's the gold standard. And if you're talking about like that kind of like reporting, that storytelling,
yes,
that shit it's, if you haven't ever checked that shit out, check it out. Like, yeah. All right, circle back because I'm going to lose it. Yeah. Start talking about Shit Town. Sorry.
So we had some technical difficulties to work through over the past few weeks. And I got pissed because I'm a baby. I want everything to be ready to go and I want to do it. and I just don't want to have to deal with anything because I can't handle any kind of adversity in life or otherwise. I just crumble. I completely crumble. So I'm texting Tommy, and let me ask you a question, Tommy. When we have those conversations, do I come off like a real dick in the text? Like, are you like, oh man, this is bad?
Hold up. Let me pull the text up. Let me just look at it. Hold on. Because I'll
No,
tell
don't
you.
read it. Don't read it.
Because I'll
Don't
read
read
it.
it.
In my head, I'm going, okay. So, no. At first, it came across like you were concerned.
Yeah.
And then your concern kind of turned to, you need to fix this. And I was like, oh, it's not concern. He's pissed. Like he's just mad. Like, but
Yeah.
I think the way I responded to it was kind of like, yo, I do this podcast I walk downstairs in my basement, I plug in my computer, I plug in my headphones, I log on, I talk for however many hours we talk for, and I walk the fuck away.
Yes.
So it's huge for Keith when these technical issues come up, because it ends up costing him on his on his end hours, and not like, oh, like an extra hour, like 7 to 10 hours extra of editing, because I can't figure out what this fucking buzzing noise is in my house.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that was a problem until recently, because everything worked out one week and there was no background noise.
Yep.
And I can fly through the editing. It's fucking beautiful. Like,
Yeah,
I need that. I want that. But let me say this. I'm asking because I'm checking myself, because I've been told I can be angry and I can come off angry, and I don't want that. Like, I don't want to be sending you these texts and you thinking, wow, this guy's a dickhead. I don't want to do the show with him. You know what I'm saying?
No, I actually, so when you sent the first text, I think part of it was like the context of it was early when you sent that text. It was 7:45 or 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Like, it was the next day.
Yes.
And I was like, I'm in the middle of, like, I'm in homeroom. Like, I'm literally sitting virtually in a classroom, like, monitoring 29 kids. So, like, when I looked at it, I mean, I read the text, but I didn't really think much of it. And then when I saw the series of them, and it was like, oh, he texted me last night and he texted me this morning. Oh, and they're all about the sound. I'm like, oh shit. Like, all right, hold up. And I think then I started kind of putting them together, because I was in the mindset of, like, I'm doing work. So, like,
Exactly.
it didn't kind of register with me that you were, like, really upset. And then when I did, I was like, okay, yeah, like, all right, you know what? Here's the thing. I'm costing you literally hours and hours of your time. And you're somebody that you're regimented with things like this. You
quadriculado.
Yeah, quadriculado, dude. You take shit like this very seriously. You're graph paper. And to the point, like, you even mentioned it on the, like, did you mention on the last one, or was that just you and I talking? When you were
Excel
saying,
sheet?
yeah, the Excel sheet. Like,
yeah. The podcast is in there too, everything.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I want to make sure I'm not coming off as a dick, and two, I have to work on taking a pause and better timing, because I figure this shit out and then I text you right away, and I'm probably mad because something didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So we talked during the day, and I go to extremes. Like, I always go to extremes. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, well, we have to end the podcast because we just can't figure this out, and that's it. So as the day went on, I ate, I drank some coffee, I got some work done, I had some time to, like, stop freaking out, and then we talked, and I'm glad we did, because we came to an agreement, folks, that we're making this thing work no matter what, because, Tommy, the show is us.
Yeah.
Like, the show is us. If there's no guest, it's us. It's us.
And I get good feedback about that. People are like, I like the ones where it's just you and Keith talking shit. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Like,
I was afraid to do that because, I don't know, I'm self-conscious. But we agreed we're going to make the show work no matter what. That's number one. And number two, the show will not get in the way of our friendship. Because this has happened to me so many times in my life, where I get involved with a friend in a band or whatever project, and something goes wrong, and that friendship is pretty much done.
But I knew this from the beginning. Like, even, all right, think back to the hotel room in Philly when we did the first, 4 episodes, right?
Yes.
I remember you were like, you brought the microphone set up, and I was like, wow, dude, you spent a lot of money on this. Do you want me to split it with you? And the first thing you said was, no, because if anything ever goes sour, I don't want this to be like a divorce where we have to like spend money on this and like you have to like Venmo me and all this other shit. He's like, you were like, we're doing this because we want to do it, and it's fun and it's great, like it's a good time, and it's going to keep us occupied. But at the same time, like this can never get in the way of us being friends. And I was like, all right, deal. Like that.
I said that?
Yeah, because I was like,
that's awesome.
Keith, you had like 4 boxes of microphones, and I'm like, oh my God, he spent a lot of money on this. And I took the train for $7 and used the free Wawa. Like I had a free coupon on my phone for free coffee. I'm like, I've contributed nothing today. Like, I showed up and just fucking talk.
I don't mind spending the money and doing. First of all, I like doing everything because I'm a fucking control freak. So that's one. I wouldn't trust anyone else to do the edits or anything else. And number 2, it's life or death for me. I have to be doing something like this for my own sanity and for my own safety. If I had no project, no purpose, and I was just sitting around playing video games or some shit, I'd be in big trouble. So I don't mind spending the money to get it started. And it's not like starting a band. You know what I mean? I didn't have to go out and spend $3K on guitar gear. This was pretty manageable. So yeah, we agreed. We're just not going to let shit get in the way. And I've committed to. Yeah, I've realized I'm not helping that much either. Like, because I'm just so busy. I'm like, you figure it out, and then.
That was the worst part. I sat down one night. This was weeks ago. I sat down and did a bunch of Audacity tests at my house, and I turned everything on in my house, like air conditioning, the whole house fan, like everything. And then one by one, I just turned everything off to figure out where the noise was coming from, because I can only hear it when I'm listening to Audacity after the fact. I can't hear it while I'm in the moment. It just doesn't show up. So it's. I thought I isolated it. I guess Keith was like, yeah, you got it. It's good. It's totally going to work. And then, like the next episode, it was fine for like 40 minutes. And you're like, at the end of the episode, it fucking turned on, dude. I'm like, I don't.
Well, listen, we're going to figure it all out. We've got a plan in action. I'm going to help Tommy get everything all set up, and it's all good. And listen, it's not just you. I have problems too. I had problems with my mic in a few earlier episodes. Shit is going to happen, but we just have to work through it.
I'm so glad you brought this up, dude, because it wasn't like bothering me, but in my head it was. And this is such a kind of like warrior, kind of like dad thing to do, but it bothered me that it bothered you. Like in my head, I'm going like, I know Keith's mad about this. Like, and on my end, I'm going like, shit, dude, am I making his life a nightmare? Because
no, I'll admit I was getting mad about it, but I'm letting go. I've let go, and it's not a resentment I'm holding on to. None of that shit. We're going to fix it. And I'm just trying to commit to not being so pissed off about everything in general, because even this is a silly example, but like I watch like game streamers sometimes.
Oh yeah.
And the streamers who are happy and upbeat and just having fun and joking around the whole time are great. Those are the ones I watch. And the ones that are angry and are pissed off and are cursing, I turn it off. I'm like, I can't watch this. So I want to use that approach for life too.
You know, this is something I was just thinking about the other day, because I don't know why. I guess because we discussed it that one day, but I've been listening to old clips of Artie on Stern.
Yeah.
And any of the ones that are like animosity, or like the one I saw, like it came up in the recommended thing on YouTube, and it was like Artie quits the Stern Show Part 2. And I was like, I'm not listening to that. Because I don't want to.
Some of those fights are classic though.
I used to like when Artie, or when Howard would fight with Jackie. Yeah. Those were funny to me because Jackie would take it serious for like a split second and then go into some, like, you know, and then Fred would do an impression or something. Like, it was always, there was something that kind of lightened the mood. But with the Artie ones, it's really not like, I mean, just, I remember listening to it being younger, being like, oh, this is serious. Like
his fights always got really scary.
Yeah.
because he was out of control, and now that we know the whole story, we know why.
Yeah, he was legitimately out of control. Like, and
Like, you hear the guy have a breakdown during this one fight, and he's like, "I just have to leave. I just have to go away. Like, I have to move to Europe for a year or something." And I remember having those same exact thoughts.
really,
I'm like,
you're gonna
yes,
get away from everything. Like,
yes, and just thinking, oh, I just need a few months to myself, and I just need to not go to work and sit home, and everything's going to be fine. And that's not.
oh, that's a
gonna change
disaster for you.
That's not going to change anything.
No.
No, you got to fix what's on the inside.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, I'm so glad you brought this up though, because it really did. Like, when I started reading the text, I remember I went upstairs. So that's one of the really nice things about working at home is I eat lunch with my family. So
Yes.
I'm done teaching at 11:45, and then I go back to teaching at 1:00. So from 11:45 till till 1, I can run upstairs. I can help get the baby ready for lunch. I can help feed the baby. I can get the girls' lunch together. I can sit down and actually eat, like, have a real lunch with them. It's really, really nice. But I went upstairs that day, and I remember Kelly was like, "You all right?" I was like, "I think Keith's pissed." I was like, and she's like, "Why?" And I was like, "He sent me a bunch of texts, like, and then the Audacity file got fucked up, and he was saying, like, the thing that we recorded was fucked because I recorded on my PC because you guys were up in the Poconos and you had the Mac because the girls had to do their work up there, and because they're still in a virtual school." And she's like, "Okay. Wait, what happened?" And I was like, "It's a long story. It's just
that's another thing. I don't want to fuck up your day. I don't want to make you feel bad all day. Like that's not cool."
And you know what? It was funny was I really did feel bad. Like, I was like, "Oh no, Keith's like mad," and I think I had that feeling for the better part of an hour and a half, and then we both were like, "Yeah, like, look, we'll fix this. This is not this isn't a thing. Like, we'll work through this, and if we don't, we're gonna still be friends. We can't let this fuck up us being friends because I don't really like many people. I don't get along. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't get along. Like, there's not a lot of people that share the same sense of humor. Like,
Right.
I don't. There's not many people I can share. Like, I will send random Simpsons quotes to you, or, God damn it, what was? Remember the "You're the man now, dog."
Yeah, the original YTMND. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't. There's not many people I can share that shit with, and like, you and I just bounce shit like that off each other all the time. So it's like, I would miss that more than I would miss the podcast every day of the week. Like that, like, the podcast
Right.
is great and it's fun, but being able to have you there all the time. Oh, this is like a heartfelt moment. This is the part. This is the part in the TV show where everybody goes, "Oh."
We're gonna play some soothing music here.
This is the very special episode of the Northeast Scene.
Yeah.
Can I start? I was actually thinking about this though, because now, like, as soon as you were like, "All right, it's cool. We'll figure out what the noise is. Like, we'll work with it. You're getting the new microphone. Like, it's gonna work." In my head, I was like, I don't know why, and I was like, he's gonna lose his shit. I wouldn't do it. But I thought for a split second, I was like, every time I get the microphone, and this is me doing it now. When I got the new microphone, I'd be like, "All right, Keith, it sounds great, right? This sounds good, huh? All right, cool. This is great." And I would just like squeeze a water bottle or do something in the back.
Oh, like as a practical joke? No,
Yeah.
that's a bad
and in my
idea.
head, I'm like, he would just fucking lose his shit because he wouldn't think it's funny.
Practical jokes are a waste of time. But listen, we're not gonna. The show will go on. We have to make it go on no matter what, or until something cooler comes up that one of us has to do.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. The show will go on. We will go on. Everything will be fine, and that's it. But I just wanted to talk about all this stuff because I don't want it hanging over our heads or someone thinking that something's wrong, because it's not. It's all good. And we've got an exciting show coming up. We've got Adam Morgan from Hopesfall joining us.
Nice.
That's going to be exciting. Hopesfall is one of our favorite bands, and they really put themselves back on the map with Arbiter, the 2017, the last LP they put out. That thing is so good. Like, bands usually go away for a while and then come back, and you're like, okay, all right. But I would argue that might be their best record.
I honestly, it's one of the ones that I've listened to, and I just like the sound in general. Like, that's the biggest thing. I always liked their sound, but so, like, things like Escape Pod for Intangibles, right? Like,
Yes,
there's seconds like that are like, 30 to 40-second clips that I'm going, that is absolutely perfect. That is
Yes.
gorgeous. But there's other parts of the song that I'm like, all right. I'm waiting for the cool part. I'm waiting for the part that I love to come up.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this stuff on Arbiter, I'm like, wow, this whole thing has such a good kind of like, the songwriting is better. Like they figured out that structure of like, how do we, it's not all a continuous build to this crescendo. And then it's like, oh, okay, now we just like have here's where the heavy part is. Here's where the soft part is. Here's where the heavy part comes back in. Here's where we meld the two together. No, it's like, it's really well thought out shit. It's kind of like what Steve was talking about. Like when people get their shit together with songwriting and you have somebody that really can kind of like drive that part, like it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah, and the sound is perfect on that album. They did that with Mike Watts. He also that's where Gates records too. Remember Kevin told us that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and when I recorded my EP, I gave them 2 records. Hum, You'd Prefer an Astronaut, and Hopesfall, Arbiter. I just thought the sound was perfect on Arbiter, and I wanted to replicate it. So Adam's going to be joining us, and we're going to talk about Hopesfall and a lot of other stuff too. And we're here on Monday night. It's getting colder out, which I'm a fan of.
You love this. This is my favorite thing. Is I'm not like a hoodie person. Like I have a couple hoodies that like if I go out like skateboarding early in the morning, I'll have a hoodie with me. But like I like a really nice sweater.
Yeah, that's my thing. You know what? I actually don't like hoodies. I own an Ink and Dagger hoodie I wear occasionally.
Yeah.
But I am into high quality sweaters. That's my thing. I've got a couple. I wear them all the time. I love it. I
like the fact that like in this time of year, I have a really, really comfortable one. I got it from my mom always, and this was something from when I was little, but my mom always ordered us stuff from Land's End when we were growing up, or LL Bean, depending on, because my mom would always say their things last forever. The quality is really nice. They might be a little bit on the higher end of what you would pay for something, but they last for a really long time. She got me a like olive green cable knit sweater probably 5 years ago. Yeah. And I've worn it. I wear it all the time, and it looks like the first day I got it. Like it's awesome. I've spilled shit on it. I wash it. Like it held up so nice. And every time I like get like, when you move your clothes over, like, all right, I'm taking out like all the stuff like that, just my summer stuff, and putting that away, and like taking out my winter stuff. And I was like I actually started taking out my winter stuff over the weekend because it got really cold. What was that?
Wait, you do like the takeout? You have clothes you put away for the summer? I remember doing that as a kid. I think that's weird now. Like my clothes are just in my closet, everything.
So I have a lot of things that because we have so many people in the house, like it's just like we have so many clothes, like the amount of like closet space that I have is very minimal. So I have my dress shirts for work. I have like 5 pairs of like dress pants, but all of the sweaters and like, crew neck sweatshirts and everything like that I have, we put it in the back of the closet, like all the way in the one corner. It's weird to explain it, but it's like, it's all the way out of the way. So, and then we put stuff on top of it, like all of our suitcases and duffel bags and all that kind of stuff we use for traveling are in front of it. So when it comes to this time of the year, I get to pull all that stuff out. So I pulled it out when I think it got cold on like Thursday, and I was like, let me go get, all my stuff out because I wanted something to wear to the skate park on Saturday morning when I got up. And I was like, it's going to be 46 degrees when I get up. I need like 2 layers. So I put on a t-shirt, I put on a sweater, and then I put a hoodie on over top of that. And I went to the skate park. I was like, yay, it's like nice weather outside again. I don't have to be drenched in sweat coming home from the park. Like
this is it. And this is one thing I want to talk to Adam about when we talk to him. I always think of this time of year. I remember I went on a national tour with This Day Forward. That's where I discovered Hopesfall. And I came off the tour, and the Satellite Years came out not too long after. And just that record always reminds me of this time of year. Cool, crisp, fall air. Yeah. There's something in the air. You can feel it. It's been a weird time. something just feels weird. It's like this mix of nostalgia and something I just can't put my finger on it, but it's good and it's bad and I don't know. I don't know. But things are kind of crazy right now. Work is insane. There's a lot of stuff going on that's going to be hard to deal with, but
Mm.
I'm going to do my best to do that. And I don't know. Right now my challenge is work.
Yeah.
Managing my time at work and managing all the many big projects going on.
And you have a test coming up too, so
Well, I got to take that test by May, but I haven't been able to study as much as I need to, so I don't know, man. I'm that's why I made the schedule. That's why I
gotcha.
made the schedule so I can study for it. So I gotta get on that. I'm studying when I can during the week, but I gotta start studying on the weekend and stuff. But that's hard because you're a
It,
family man. We've got obligations on the weekends.
it's your only time too. Like I
Yes.
feel like I actually I don't want to get into like a whole thing about it, but like when I get like my work phone is my personal phone, so like work pays for my phone.
Yeah.
So I feel obligated when a parent calls me on the weekend to answer, or if they text me or email me to answer back, because I'm like, fuck, they pay the bill on this thing, and I want to make sure that I'm doing right by the kids. But like, there's other times where like this weekend we had a lot of stuff going on. The floor got finished upstairs and we were trying to kind of like get the rooms in order, so we had finished painting, the new floors were in, we were putting the furniture back, but when we painted, like everything came down from the walls. I was like, all right, everything has to get hung back up. So you have to be really careful. Like you don't want to hang something up crooked and then stare at it for the rest of the next 10 years and hate yourself. So
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is a fucking pain in the ass. And I had like 5 parents, because grades came out on Friday. I had like 5 parents call me, and I'm like, look, this is gonna have to wait till Sunday night. Like, this is gonna have to wait. Like, I just can't deal with this shit, because like in my head, I'm going like, my focus is my stuff now. Like, when do I get my time?
Right. Right. And that's what I'm trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. When
Yeah.
I try to get back to everybody as soon as I can. Sometimes it takes longer than I'd like. And with work stuff, I have the schedule. I work all day. I don't like mess around too much during the day, just during my lunch break, but I'm working all day. I'll work past 5 o'clock if I have to. There's been plenty of nights where I've worked till like 11 p.m. at night. And you gotta do what you gotta do. I'm just glad I still have a job.
Shit, dude.
Yeah.
I
Because
actually,
I've worked for the same company for 12 years. I have no idea what I would do if I had to get a new job.
I actually think about that fairly often, because we had I wouldn't say mass exodus, but we had a lot of like senior leadership at my school leave. And there were people that were there for 10, 12, 13 years. And I'm like, oh my God, I've worked there for 9 years. Like, what if I had to leave? Like, what if I left? Like,
Yeah,
what would I go? Like, what would I do? Like, I know I'd still be somehow involved in education, but would I still be in the classroom? Would I be
that's the
writing
thing.
curriculum? Like, what does that look like? And in my head, that there's a panic that kind of washes over me when I think about that, because it means it could be potentially turning your entire life upside down. Like, I have to learn something completely new, or I have to, and I don't have great people skills when it comes to like, if I had to like observe teachers, I'm really bad at that. Like, cause if I see something bad in your classroom, like, you're supposed to tell people like, oh, what I really see in your classroom that's going well is this. And one of the things that we can improve is this. Like,
Hmm.
I would just be like, yo, you can't take data like that on the kids. Like, you just can't do that. Like,
You're gonna
what are you going to,
Philly them.
yeah, like, bro, you can't do that. Like, why are you like you're writing down? Oh, like, what is that information gonna do? Like, I get immediately like very. I guess aggressive is the kind of right word. It is. I think it's not aggressive in a mean way, but in aggressive in a like a, you need to fix this because it's holding you back from being a better teacher. Like, it's
So
you.
you can't put on the corporate jargon. I can do that.
I can do it. All right. So I think it comes down to, and it's basically if it's my audience, who my audience is. Like, boss if my boss was like, hey, do you think you would want to talk to me about like doing leadership? And I would be like, okay, cool. Like, all right, pretend you observed this person and you saw this in your classroom. How would you talk to them about it? I can fake it then. But if there was like some 23-year-old from Princeton that was like, yeah, I just did this, and it didn't work. Like, well, it didn't fucking work because you didn't do it right. Like, like in my head, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's part of me that if it's like, if I have to put on a face, like I can do that to a certain extent, but that's only going to get me so far in terms of the results. Like if I
Yeah.
want you to do well in the classroom, there's sometimes that like you just have to be blunt with people. Like this isn't functional. You have to fix this. Like
I wish someone would have done that with me in my life.
you need a life supervisor. You need
Well, I have had the same jobs. I've worked for the same company since 2008. It's been the only constant in my life for that period of time. So if I had to get a new job, it would be really hard and I would not want to do it. So I hope that doesn't happen anytime soon.
Yeah, me too. Because you also like the stability of what you do. Like
Oh, yes. And I can work from home. I work exclusively from home. I haven't traveled since November. I get paid decent. I don't mind what I do. I love the team that I work with. Everything worked out perfectly because it was not like that for a long time. So,
yeah.
I mean, everything is great now. So I'm just hoping that I hold on to it.
Yeah. Well, I memean, that's the thing now is like like you said before, though, I'm just glad we have somewhere to work. Like, because
Yeah.
there's so many people. I was on a phone call with a parent today, and she works for the housing authority in New Jersey, and she was like, "Well, we just got the call that if people are more than 6 months delinquent." Because there was like a moratorium on it, like of eviction. She's like, we've got the call now that we're supposed to start evicting people if they don't have a payment plan set up. So I'm like, okay, wait, why is she telling me this? And she's like, well, I'm just letting you know, like, because there's going to be a good amount of kids that are at school that, keep in mind, they used to be able to just say, okay, well, I'm going to school, and school was their stability. But now school is home, and home is not a place anymore. Like they get evicted, like they don't have a place to do school. They don't have Wi-Fi. They'll have their laptop, but like the chances that they're going to be able to connect and be in your classroom at the right time, doing the right amount of work, if they're like connected to like the Wi-Fi outside Taco Bell, like I don't know, like if it's going to be, you're going to have some really difficult months coming up soon. And
Oh,
I'm like,
man. I
oh
didn't even
no.
think of that. Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, like, because school is home and home is school. Like it's really kind of flip-flopped now. It's like, shit, dude, like we used to be kind of like a bastion of like, this was the place you were safe. Come to school. School, like home might not be cool. Like there might be, it might be chaos. It might be, the lights are cut off or whatever.
You have to watch season 4 of The Wire. This is like what it's all about.
Yeah. I actually, Kelly and I were looking for something to watch together, and Chris Riley was like, yo, you got to watch Goliath. And I was like, okay. He's like, you'll like it. I think he said it's Billy Bob Thornton, but he's like, it's a procedural kind of like courtroom stuff. He's like, it's about like, the justice system and how like district attorneys get charges and how they get the charges from the police, and the police then go ahead and cycle them through, like that kind of thing. I was like, oh, that sounds really good. And you know what he said to me right after that? He goes, don't do that fucking weird thing where you watch the last episode first. I was like,
I forgot about that.
He was like, don't fucking do that weird ass thing where you watch a fucking last episode. You'll fuck it up.
Romy and I are watching Dark. It's a Netflix show about time travel, and it's good. It's very confusing, but it's good.
Okay.
I recommend that. Because there's like 3 different timelines, and all the characters are interconnected. And it's in German. I don't know if that bothers you. I don't mind reading subtitles, but
that's the only thing.
It's a really good show.
Subtitles are hard with us, just because typically when we watch TV at night, it's after everybody's in bed, and we watch it in our bed. And when the lights are off and the subtitles are going, I'm less likely to, like, I fall asleep pretty quickly if I have
Me
to
too. Romy gets mad because I'm out. Like, I never make it through a whole episode.
Yeah.
And then when we start the next episode, I have to go 15 minutes back to see the end of the previous episode. I never thought I'd be that guy because I was always the one who was up all night. Oh yeah, I don't need my bed.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. So, but now, if I'm home, if I have all my dopamine-inducing video games and computers and all that stuff, I'll stay up till 12, 1. But if I'm at Romy's, we're sitting in bed watching TV, so I'm out at 11:30.
Yeah, now that's the problem with Kelly and I is we find that we don't like the same things, so we try to find something that's in common.
That's what we do, yeah.
The last thing that we had in common was Tiger King, and
Yeah.
we liked Tiger King, and then we watched, what was the other one? Oh, I got hooked on it because she was watching it, and I was folding laundry, and I was like, oh, this is actually really entertaining. It's called 90 Day Fiance, The Other Way, and it was about people that get the K1 visas to like marry someone from a foreign country, but it's not people marrying a United States citizen to come and get United States citizenship. It's people moving to other countries. The one that was like really entertaining was this like nerdy dude from like the Midwest that was moving to this like fishing village in Brazil. It was fucking hard. Dude, it's hard to watch. Like he's so cringy. Like everything he says, you're like, he doesn't filter anything out. Like he's such a dummy. He says the worst things at the worst times. Like,
is he cringy like an a-hole or cringy like Mikey Miles?
Like Mikey. No, he's 100% Mikey Miles. And yo, did you see? I text. This is why we can never not be friends. I wrote a comment under his thing because he's going live. He's gonna do a live Instagram thing, and I'm like, we need to live broadcast this. If you guys don't, have we talked about him on here at all?
No, and all I'm gonna say is, oh, did I tell you he blocked me?
No.
Yeah, I said something he didn't like and he blocked me. Folks, follow Mikey Miles 160 on Instagram. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
I'm just going to leave that there. All right, folks. Here's the interview with Adam Morgan of Hopesfall. Enjoy. We're here with Adam Morgan of Hopesfall. Woo! Yeah. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Let me ask you right off the bat, did you hear our episode with your friend and bandmate Josh Brigham?
I did. I heard an episode with him, and then I heard another episode where y'all came back and talked about the Hum record, I believe.
Yes. Now we're going to go through Josh's first episode line by line, and you tell us what's bullshit and what's not. And here we go. No, I'm just kidding. No, okay. So you're familiar with the show. That's good. Yes. So you may have heard all of my gushing about Hopesfall. It's one of our favorite bands. It's been a important band in my life. So let me say that right off the bat. Awesome band, and we're excited to have you here.
Oh man, thank you so much, dudes.
Adam, let's get to know each other a little bit. I'm guessing you live in North Carolina.
Yep, I do, in Charlotte.
So do you live, how many of the guys live there? I know Josh does.
Yeah, right now it's me, Josh, and our bass player, Chad.
Yes.
And, our singer, Jay, lives in Chicago, and our guitar player, Ryan, lives in Nashville, Tennessee.
So how does it work if you're going to practice? I guess you just got to pick a weekend and then get it done before the tour or the string of shows or whatever else.
Yeah. We still haven't played any shows with Ryan yet, so we're still kind of navigating how that was going to work. We were getting together, pre-COVID, every once in a while. We'd go up there to Nashville, or he'd come down here, but mainly it would just be us three that live in Charlotte, just kind of getting together once a week and just making sure our shit was tight, and then just kind of just relying on the other guys to make sure they're doing their homework. And then, of course, as the shows were getting closer, we had, some opportunities to get together all together and make sure that the shit was ironed out. But, that got shot dead pretty quick.
Right. I mean, shit. Josh, I think, was the first guest we had on when this whole thing started. And fuck, that feels like a decade ago at this point.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's just so strange. So yeah, I was excited to see that Ryan Parrish is back in the band now. Now, Adam, you've been in the band since the beginning, right?
Yeah, I've been in the band. I've dropped out of the band and now I'm back in the band. But yeah, I was an original member.
So how does it feel to be playing with Ryan again in the band?
Oh man, it's great. Like when we when we came to him, asking if he'd be interested in coming back and writing some songs, it just, the first step was to have him, come in and all of us get in a room together and just see if it's even, doable. He was a little bit, he wasn't hesitant, he wanted to do it, but I think there was a little bit of a nervousness or an anxiety about whether or not, he could jump back in that mind frame after all these years. Cause he's been out since, as soon as the Satellite Years came out, which was what, 2002? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, he's been doing other musical projects the whole time since, and nothing's been, as heavy as, Hopesfall was. So he just kind of, his way of playing and his way of writing and just approaching songs with other people, had been so different. And,
Right.
but once we all got in the room together, it was just like riding a bike, and it flowed so organically, and it just worked wonderfully.
Yeah, well, first let me say I'm excited that he's back in the fold because, the last release he was on was No Wings to Speak Of. And,
No,
am I wrong on that?
Satellite Years.
Did he actually record some of that?
Satellite Years?
Yeah.
Yeah, he recorded all the guitar part. Aside from Josh, all his parts.
So he was actually in the studio for the Satellite Years?
Yes, yep.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Wow. I thought he was out before you guys got into the studio. Wow. Okay. So,
yeah, no, I could see how it could. Yeah, it was. So the album was done and recorded, and it was very shortly after that. It might have even been before we went to go mix it that he had stepped out. So yeah, as someone on the outside, kind of framing the reference of when the album came. By the time the album came out, yes, he was out of the band, but no, he wrote and recorded that whole album with us.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, even I'm learning something new. Yeah, because I met you guys on a tour in 2002. It was you were on part of it, This Day Forward, Not Waving But Drowning. And I think it was a couple months before Satellite Years came out. And Ryan was not there. So he had been out by that point.
Yep.
Gotcha. So I'm excited that he's back in the fold because I was like, man, I just love, one, that you guys got back together. Two, that you're working with different people from different eras of the band. And I saw Ryan post this thing on Instagram. It was a riff he wrote back in 2015 that ultimately ended up becoming part of Hall of the Sky.
Yeah.
Your latest song. And I just love that kind of stuff. Like, I'm sure he never imagined that this lead he's messing around with would end up in a Hopesfall song, and that he would end up back with Hopesfall 5 years later. I love that kind of shit, like just tracing the trajectory.
He'd probably be more surprised than you would to hear that.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so I learned that the other day too from watching his Instagram story. I had no idea that he had been sitting on that for that long. That was like, oh wow, cool,
So you're living in Charlotte, and what do you do for your job?
I am a screen printer for like non-textile stuff. Our company does that as well, but I'm like show posters or vinyl stickers or anything that's not apparel that can be screen printed. I kind of do that.
A lot of corporate stuff, like logos on water bottles and that kind of stuff, like that.
Surprisingly, not. A lot of it's band stuff, and a lot of it's all kinds of stuff. No, we just have a ton of very small business oriented stuff. Not like we're not set up to where like we lose the contract for this big, corporation and then we're going under or anything like that. We don't have any big gigantic stuff like that. So it's really neat. It's something different every day. And I've been doing it for a long time, but I really like doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's cool. It's got to be cool to be able to work with music parallel while you're not doing music as well, because I'm interested in all creative stuff, but my job's very corporate. So it's like I have to go to work and pretend to be one person, and then I can kind of But you know, with this whole work at home thing, it's great because I haven't cut my hair since, I don't know, January, and I haven't shaved either.
Ooh.
So the first 2 minutes of every conference call at work now is people commenting on my hair. They're like, yeah, Charles Manson, Jim Morrison, this, that, and then I'm like, all right, guys, I get it. So
my hair's long anyway. Business.
So,
Yeah.
so you haven't shaved either? What?
No, well, I did once, but the beard's as long as it's ever been.
Oh wow! How many inches we talking?
Not that many, honestly. It's like 2 or 3 inches. It's not like Santa Claus level or anything, but it's longer than I've ever had it. And you know, I got to look clean cut for my job because we're in front of clients and stuff. But I'm taking advantage of this time home and away from clients to look like a complete mess.
Yeah, man. Well, you gotta entertain yourself somehow.
Exactly. Plus, on Teams, I have a clean cut picture of me shaved and with a suit. So when you see me talk, that picture pops up. So, you know,
I love it.
playing the part. But yeah, it's got to be cool, like, to be working with bands still when you're not playing.
Oh yeah, like every once in a while, I get an order in, and I'm like, oh yes, like I'm gonna keep a couple of these for myself, you know.
That's
Or
awesome.
you know, so I mean, we used to do a lot of the Crank Records stuff, you know, like Mineral and
That's
I mean,
awesome.
dude, I've been working there for like 20 years now.
Wow.
We've done like Jimmy Eat World stuff. We've done so much cool shit. And you know,
You've probably got a nice collection of prints at home.
I wish I had more. We do a lot of stickers. We used to do not a ton, but we used to do a lot more posters than what we do now. And I really wish I would have had the mindset to hold on to some of those from back in the day. But I have like full like sticker run sheets of like cursive stickers. We used to do a lot of Saddle Creek stuff for like the Faint and cursive and Bright Eyes. But yeah, I mean, every once in a while those still come in like a cool band, and I'll be like, yes, and I'll throw on like a record while we're printing their stuff, and like all the guys like they're not down with that. I mean, like I work with like a guy who's like a country boy, and like
Yeah.
you know, like some other people that just don't quite get that genre. But I'm like, nope, we're printing their shit, we're listening to their shit.
Yeah, I do that a lot with this podcast. If someone mentions a band or if I have a band on, I just right away have to start listening to them. I do it a lot when I'm editing. You know, we'll be talking to the band, they'll mention a song, a record, or they'll mention another band, and I'll stop editing, listen to the song, and then start editing again.
I actually just bought a screen print like not that long ago from Keith, our friend Chuck Moran.
Yes.
He does those like one-off things for like he does like so he hand draws everything, and then he like makes all the screens for it. But he did a poster for, they were screening The Exorcist. I forget where it was, but he did this really cool drawing of, it's like Reagan's face at the top, like inverted, and then that original, like if you like saw the original VHS copy of The Exorcist, the opening picture was the first
stairs?
the older priest walking up to the house, and that light shining down from her window, and it just illuminated him completely. But it's all done in the whole thing is a upside down crucifix, and all the drawings are inside that. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, that's incredible. And my mom is a big my mom saw The Exorcist in the theaters, and she said it's till this day, she's like, it's the one movie that really scares me, because growing up Catholic, she was like, I really thought that could happen to me. And she's like,
oh yeah.
So when I texted Chuck and I was like, yo, I need to buy a screen print of that. And he was like, why? And I was like, well, no. Like, I'm going to buy. And he's like, all right. Like, he's like, just go on the site and order it. So I ordered it, and it came, and I showed my mom, and she was like, oh, that's going to be terrible to frame. It's so big. And I was like, well, you're going to put it up in your house, so good luck with that.
It's a present, Mom.
Now you got it. And she's like, oh no, sweetie, I don't want that in my house, because my mom's still really religious. She's like,
yeah, it's an upside down cross. She can't hang that in her house.
She was like, right next to her what is the one, she is like one of the big huge like an Irish blessing, like big, like thing done in calligraphy, like above the fireplace. So like it'll be a nice like accompaniment to that. Is like here's all this religious iconography and an inverted crucifix.
Chuck did it's you know that Sonic Youth t-shirt that has the two people in sunglasses?
I printed stickers for that same image for the band.
Yeah, I've never now get ready for this. I've never even heard Sonic Youth before, but Chuck took that image and made it look like the Blues Brothers.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And it says like Mission from God,
We're on a
LP.
mission from God, yeah.
Yeah, and then it has the quote, we've got a pack of cigarettes, a tank of gas, and we're going to Chicago. And I love that shirt. I was like,
awesome.
I saw that. I was like, I got to get that right now. But he does cool stuff. He's done stuff for Mono, Maserati, Patton Oswalt.
Patton Oswalt.
Wow.
He's done multiple things for him, and he did a lot of work for R5 when they were all like a lot of the First Unitarian Church stuff.
Yeah.
He was doing a lot of their posters for that, and it was he got in never mind. He got in trouble for the one because for some reason I think it might have been Boris, I don't remember, maybe the Melvins, I forget who it was, but do you know that so President Trump's wife did some nude modeling in the early 80s?
Yeah.
And they've done a really good job to suppress the pictures, but they still are out there. So Chuck used those as the four corners of the border. Was Melania Trump like half naked, turned around? I was like, holy shit. And he's like, yeah, I got in a lot of trouble for that. We might have to cut this part. Like, as I'm thinking about this. Yeah.
Did Trump come after him?
Who came after him? Who could he
I got to get this. We got to get Chuck on and talk about it, because he was like, I remember he was like, yeah, I got a lot of blowback from that. And I don't know if it was specifically because there were like people that were like, hey, I'm a big supporter of Trump, and I think that was disrespectful, or there was a legal aspect of it, because I know there was a large effort to kind of get those pictures out of the public, like out of when people were posting them. I know they were taking them down very quickly. So we had to talk. I'll get an answer for you, because Chuck and I talk almost daily. So
we got to talk to him about that. But I have to say, Chuck's finest work that he's ever done are the logos for the Northeast scene.
Yes, he did. I was going to say he did. And the funny thing was, I texted him about that, and I was like, yo, can you do the logos for Northeast scene? He's like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know, Pennsylvania, bro. Like, see, I don't know. Like, he wrote me back in like 25 minutes. Maybe it was under an hour for sure. And he was like, okay, here. And I was like, all right, what do I owe you? And he's like, what? And I was like, what do I owe you? And he's like, oh, I don't know. And I'm like, dude, it took you like an hour. Like, I would give you like $50. He's like, sure. I'm like, dude, you're like an artist on demand. Do you understand how much money if somebody called someone and said, I need something like right away, like you could be like, they could charge an enormous amount of money. Like, and he's like, no. He's like, you're my friend though. And I'm like, you're the best dude in the world. Like, I've known him since I was 18 years old, but like, he came through with a lot of stuff for us. And he's just such a super good dude. Horrorprints.com.
Okay, I was getting ready to ask. I was like, I need a link for this guy. I need to see where.
Dude, it's horrorprints.com, and he does really cool logos. He does a couple of like you'll know you're there because it's at Horror Prints, and it looks like the Nintendo logo. Like that's super awesome.
Oh,
super awesome stuff.
I see it. There we go.
So, So Adam, are you still able to work in the midst of this global pandemic?
Yes, fortunately, I am.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
It got a little scary there in the beginning, but then we kind of navigated our way through it. You know, it's I think the big boss man did some good promoting, and I think the initial wave was it dried up pretty fast, but then I think bands and other people who might have wanted to order stuff for like events that got canceled realized like, well, we still need some income. So I think a lot of people started ordering, prints and stickers and shirts for their web stores, so then the work started coming in, and then we kind of started to outlast some of the other smaller screen printing places. So I think we started getting some new customers in who, normally would have used someone else, but they just had to shut their doors kind of thing. So we've just it comes in waves, but we've been really fortunate, and we're pretty slammed right now, so it's good.
That's
a good
good.
That's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Do you screen print masks at all? That would be big business.
Yeah. The guy, I don't, but the group that does, the t-shirts and the apparel and stuff
Textile
like that,
stuff, yeah.
textile. They have definitely got into that, and they've been printing like some of the biggest orders we've ever gotten. So they're pumping those out right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's good. So you're screen printing, right? You're living in Charlotte now. You had a tour. Hopesfall had a tour with Taken that was supposed to happen in Japan, correct?
Yes.
Have you ever been to Japan before?
I have never been.
So this was going to be the first time.
Yep.
Oh, well, I'm sorry to bring up these painful memories, but you know what? We have to work through them together.
I appreciate it.
I saw Taken again for the first time since the early 2000s. They just happened to be playing in Philly when I went. And for some reason, I never checked them out on record, but I saw them, and then I listened to the record, and I was like, God, these guys are really good.
Oh, yeah, they're great. I love those guys.
Yeah. It's like really melodic and just, I don't know, it's good stuff. But I remember those guys from back in the day. They are good folks.
Yes, yeah. I know we played some shows with them back in the day, and it's super hard for me to remember, but I know we definitely did a little bit of like Eastern Canada with them. But I just remember them being like so cool and like you said, like melodic, hardcore, and like just very passionate, and just I'm so glad they reached out to us all these years later, and hopefully the Japan thing is just postponed instead of canceled. But I would love to get out there with those dudes.
Yeah, man, a tour of Japan, that's got to be insane. And from everything I've heard from everybody else, the Japanese crowds just seem really receptive and very welcoming to American bands, because I imagine they don't get to see, nearly as many as we do.
Oh yeah, it must be a treat for them. Not to sound cocky or but
yeah,
no, for real. Like if they've grown up all their lives listening to like these these American hardcore bands, it's got to be such a treat for them. When one of those bands can make it over to their area. So
right, because Hopesfall has Hopesfall ever played Japan?
Never, no.
Yeah, so see, that's a first time ever thing. So if you're a Japanese Hopesfall fan, that is like, oh my God, like I live in America and I had seen you guys before. And when you guys were playing shows again, and one of them just happened to be at St. Vitus, I was in like a rush to get home from San Francisco to make sure I made that show. So if you're a Japanese lifelong Hopesfall fan and they're coming, I can't even imagine.
Oh, I know, especially like, if you were a fan from the beginning over there and then we broke up and you thought, well, that was, there that goes. That was my, and then what, 10 years, 15 years later, you get a chance again. Like, I mean, that would be awesome. I mean, just trying to put myself in that situation. Like, if like one of my favorite bands, Sigaros, I got to see them a couple years ago, but like, they're from Iceland, but, they don't, if they were a smaller band and they didn't come over to the States that much and then they came, I mean, I would fly anywhere in the United States to go see them. So, it's got to be exciting for them. And like I said, hopefully we can make it over there for them and for us, man.
Right. It has to get rescheduled. It has to. We're putting that energy out into the earth right now.
There we go.
The Hopesfall Taken Japanese tour has to be rescheduled.
It will happen. Yes.
Yes. On the topic of Japanese bands, I really need to see Envy. Has anyone ever seen them?
I've never seen them. No.
I've never seen them either, but that one CD, Dozer, holy fuck, it's so good.
I really need to see them.
So good.
Yeah. So hopefully, hopefully live music comes back one day.
It's got to, yeah.
Hopefully Hopesfall makes it to Japan. And 3, hopefully Envy plays stateside once again. Basically, we started this podcast just to ask for things.
Yeah.
And sometimes they happen and sometimes they don't.
I was going to say, those don't sound like too much to ask for, those 3 things.
I'm pretty humble. I don't ask for too much. So, how did you meet with the gentleman in Hopesfall at the same school that they all went to? I remember Josh telling the story that he hooked up with Ryan at this school they were going to, or a camp, I think, and that's kind of how they connected via music.
Not school, but like the church we were going to.
That's
It
what it
was
was. Yeah.
Youth, like a youth group,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
youth
Yeah.
group. Yep, yep. I think Josh knew Ryan probably longer than. I guess I was gonna say I was always the youngest amongst our group of friends that kind of hung out, and then
Hmm.
from that group we started playing music together. But yeah, so I was kind of the younger kid in the youth group. I had a brother that was the same age. I have a brother that's the same age as Ryan and Josh. So I kind of tagged along with my brother, and then kind of just became better friends with those guys, and my brother actually turned out to be. So yeah.
So, is that how you discovered the scene as well? Just going to shows and everything with them?
Yep, just hanging out with my church youth group friends, that just had their finger on the pulse of this new kind of music coming up, and I was just a sponge with everything they had to report back with. So
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how even in different scenes and different states, a lot of the bands were kind of doing the same thing. Not the same exact thing, but similar sounds. Like when I listen to Hope's Fall, Frailty of Words, it's that really melodic, hardcore sound. But then up in Pennsylvania, this day forward, we're doing kind of the same thing. Like if you listen to Fragments and you listen to Frailty of Words side by side, they're very different, but they're also very similar.
yeah, they both have horrible production. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah. But I wonder, I try to think of like, what were the big influences? Like, where does it all lead up to? I know it was Converge at the time and Shai Hulud, and Josh mentioned Strong Arm too. So I think it was a lot of that
hmm
melodic stuff coming out of Florida, and then the really chaotic stuff too, like Converge.
yeah. But that was all super new to them and us. When we started the band, I mean, Josh and Ryan came from the Pumpkins and Hum and bands like that, and then we went through like our little punk and ska phase, and alternative rock, and then we got into hardcore, with bands like that Josh mentioned, like Strong Arm or Overcome or a lot of those
Yes.
tooth and nail bands. And then there was, and at that time also there was a small handful of bands in our local, scene in our city that were playing shows and starting to make demos and albums, and so we just kind of just we were just I don't know the word. We were just kind of so curious, and we just loved this new genre of music we discovered, which was hardcore,
Hmm.
and that's just kind of what I guess started coming out when Josh and Ryan started playing together. I'm just a drummer. I'm at the mercy of what the guitarists show me, but yeah, that's, I mean, it was all very new. And
I think the other piece of it is the whole alternative movement, like you mentioned, Smashing Pumpkins, Nirvana, all that stuff.
we are, yeah, yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins were a big influence on me as well. They were my favorite band for a long time. Late grade school, early high school.
Yeah, see, that's something I never. Ugh, Josh, Ryan, if you're listening at this point, cover your ear. I mean, they know this about me already. I mean, I've never been a huge Pumpkins fan. Um,
Ah,
but I was on a little bit different trajectory when it came to um, like being able to listen to music that I couldn't buy from the Christian bookstore,
mm-hmm.
So, um, they were listening to Pumpkins. They were 2 years older than me, and I was still kind of in my tooth and nail world. And it's just kind of still struggling with like, oh, like why are they listening to this stuff? It's you shouldn't be listening to the Pumpkins, that we should come back from youth group camp and burn those kind of CDs,
So it's like
I
that.
I
Okay.
was still hung up a little bit on that whole aspect of Christianity and just that that way
Yeah.
that being a youth, being a teen, trying to figure out all that stuff.
It's funny. We had our friend Steve Clifford, also a drummer
From Circa.
Yeah, and he said the same thing. Like he went to a youth group and like a religious youth group, and tooth and nail bands were like the cheat code.
Yeah,
to be able to listen to cool music.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, they really they had some bands that were legit. That it didn't feel like you were listening to the washed down version of Earth Crisis. I mean, like Strong Arm was better than anything out there that was non-Christian or secular. I did the air quotes there. But then they also had, I was right out of that kind of era in my life where I was kind of struggling with my own morality of listening to non-Christian music, is like right when like all the Crank and Polyvinyl and Jade Tree stuff started coming out, and our original bass player at the time, Chris, he would just mail order all these CDs in, just blindly, just put in orders to all these record labels, and he would just get all these CDs in of all this new stuff that I'd never heard of, like Cursive and Mineral and Texas Is the Reason and The Promise Ring, Elliot, and all this stuff. So, one day we were driving in his car and he was playing Mineral, The Power of Failing, and it just blew me away. I'd never heard anything like it, and something about it just resonated. And then from there on, it was just like, okay, I got to venture out. I got to listen to other stuff that's not in the Christian bookstore, that's not on Tooth and Nail. And this right here, this Mineral band, this band that he's playing me, this Cursive band that he just played me the day after that, like everything that he is playing for me right now is like, I can't deny myself this stuff. And then I just went on to a full dive into trying to find as many bands like that as I could find.
Yeah.
But
so was it music that took you out of the more secular lifestyle?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
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 Yes, because I remember I went to Catholic grade school and high school, and I was very obedient. I was very fearful. I believed everything they were saying, or thought I had to. And I remember one of the turning points for me, I was talking to my best friend. I was like very naive for a long time, but I remember walking with my best friend, and I was like, hey, are you gonna wait till you get married to have sex? And he like laughed in my face. He's like, no. And then I kind of, that was like step one. And then I realized like, oh, this isn't all necessarily true. Like maybe I won't burn in hell if I say a curse word, or maybe I don't have to actually go to church every week. Like, so I guess that was kind of the beginning of the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So many things are like bashed into your, just beaten into your head. Like, God, I used to see a person like drinking a beer or smoking a cigarette, and I sincerely thought like, oh, that poor idiot is, he's gonna, burn in hell, like,
you just signed your own death warrant, buddy. Good luck with that. Like, I actually got in trouble. I remember I forget exactly which grade it was. I think it was 3rd or 4th grade. But do you remember like when you used to have to do projects at school and they would be like, you have to make a diorama? And I was like, okay. Well, I had to make a diorama of, we were doing Old Testament stuff, and I had to make a diorama of Noah's Ark. And I remember my teacher came over, who was a nun, and I remember being like, all right, so they gave us like actual, like in the Bible, it says there's measurements. It was 490 cubits by 80 cubits. I'm like, what's a cubit? And she's like, well, you can look it up here. And she's like, oh, a cubit is actually this distance of 3 meters or something like that. And I was like, okay. So you start like doing the math and I'm like, wait a minute. Do you have like a whole thing? Like, did they have like one floor for like predators and then they have like prey on the other floor? And like, how do you figure in like big animals? Like, I don't know, like elephants and stuff like that. And what if one of them died? Like, how are they going to procreate like afterwards like that? Like, because if you only have the male and no female, like, I don't understand. Like, they need a lot of different kinds of food. Like, it doesn't seem like it's going to fit on this thing. And I remember she sat me down. She's like, okay, so many of the things in the Bible are an allegory. It's a story meant to teach us something. And I was like, okay, but I have to make this boat. Like, what the fuck? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, I don't understand. And I remember she was like, you know what? I'm gonna assign you a new project.
There
and
you go.
Like, oh, okay. And my new project was I did a whole thing about I learned about world religions. And I did like a brief report on all different world religions. And I was like, everybody else was like, I made the barn that Jesus was born in, and here's a mule, and here's the 3 wise men. And I'm like, all right, so Shintoism is the predominant religion in Japan. Many of the 1.8 million followers,
Wow.
everybody else's report was like hilarious, like really fun, and like there was like, colorful, and it was literally just me in the front of the classroom reading off a piece of paper. I was like, okay.
See what you get for asking questions. You guys shut up and just make your diorama, dude.
Yeah, I really should have just done. I could have been sitting there playing with Play-Doh like everybody else, like fucking making, whatever shapes I had to put in the game thing. And then there's me like, being like, hey, I don't understand exactly what you want me to do. And then
Why do you have to be such an agitator?
you know what though? When I was little, I don't think I did it out of agitation. I really did it out of pure curiosity. And it really backfired on me. And I think there was part of that like I took that with me like through 8th grade, where I remember things like not making sense and being like, just shut up. Don't ask. Because like you just make more work for yourself. Like, just, all right, this doesn't make sense. Okay, we're done. Like, that's all right. We don't have to make sense of this. This is all right.
I remember one time, I think I forget if I told this story on the show, but I'm telling it again. There was we were taking this quiz. We're in groups, and they're like, do you believe that the Eucharist is actually the body of Christ? And everyone wrote down yes, and I wrote down no. Like, it's bread, it's a wafer, So the teacher goes around and she checks everyone's answer, and the 3 people in my group are like, yes, yes, yes. So I quickly scribbled out no, and wrote yes, because I didn't want to like be different.
God saw that, dude.
Yeah,
like, that's.
I kind of wish I would have questioned it like you did.
Yeah, well, there's a whole thing. They have an answer for everything, though, because then they would go, actually, Keith, transubstantiation is the process by which when the priest actually prays over top of the host, it actually is transformed into the body and blood of Christ. And they would have a legitimate, or not legitimate,
No,
they would have an explanation.
I went to a shittier school district than you, so I would not have gotten that explanation.
I mean, you can't ask that question to a bunch of kids and have no answer for the one kid that steps up and says, no, I don't believe that.
There were times though where I remember a couple times. This is like this might not just be, no, it has to be just Catholic schools. Nobody in public school had to deal with this. We would have a teacher out, like say they had the flu, so they're out like 3, 4, 5 days, right? Somebody's mom who had like a teaching certificate or maybe just had gone to college would be our like substitute teacher. I remember like being like, who's the new teacher? And they're like, oh, that that kid in 8th grade? And I'm like, yeah, that's his mom. Why is she here? Like, why is she teaching us math right now? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And keep in mind, like, that's like the time in your education where you have one teacher all day. So that one teacher teaches you math and reading and writing and science and history and art. Like, they're everything. Like, they're all day with you. I'm like, this person is someone's mom that like normally when I see her, like she's like, behind the service desk at the fucking, supermarket, and now she's somehow teaching us religion. Like, what is happening right now? Like, this doesn't seem right. And
It's funny that you can make that connection too as a kid. Like, it's like if someone's in a band and they're like starting another band, I'm like, no, they're only in the one band. But you do it as a kid too. It's like, no, they can't teach me. They do this other thing.
they do the other thing. They like who's at the supermarket selling lottery tickets right now? Come on, like somebody's got to be behind the counter selling Salem 100s and fucking scratcher lottery tickets. God damn it.
So Adam,
Yeah.
we're coming up on another anniversary of the Satellite Years on October 15th, 2002. So that makes the album, let's see, 12, 22, take away 2, 18 or 19 years old?
Sure.
Yeah. Now, how do you think of the legacy of that record? Because for me, I kind of fell out of hardcore. I used to tour with This Day Forward a lot, and they were my friends. But I don't know. I just stopped listening to hardcore for a little while, and once they broke up, I kind of dropped out for a little bit. But Hopesfall were one of the last bands I got into before all that happened, and Satellite Years was such an important record. I just really liked it. I really liked what was going on. It didn't sound like anything else. And I discovered Hum at the same time because Brendan Ekstrom from This Day Forward and now Circus Survive, he showed me, he had an advanced copy of Satellite Years that someone gave him, and we were listening to it in someone's house, and we listened to Escape Pod from Intangibles, and he's like, "Did you ever hear Hum?" And I'm like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "You never heard Hum?" So he showed me You Prefer an Astronaut. So I discovered Hopesfall. I discovered Hum. It's just a lot of memories associated with that record, and this time of year always makes me think of that record because, the tour ended, and I came home, and I was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And, just like, I don't know. There's a lot of feelings around it for me. So how do you think of the legacy of that album?
I've never really thought about it much, honestly.
And you know what? That's fascinating because, like, here's this record that's important to me and so many other people, and you're like, well, I did it.
I have fond memories of making the album and writing the album with my friends and playing the songs live at, all across the country and, in other countries. And, I hear and I read the things, how it's, it always makes like a list.
Yes,
every once
it's always in those
Yeah.
lists. And that's got to feel good, right?
It feels great, but I always kind of attribute it to like, oh, okay, so the guy who wrote this list must just be one of our fans. Like I feel like not that we don't belong in those lists, but it's just amazing to me that it ends up in those lists. And we're not talking about like lists for the shittiest records that came out in 2000. But
yeah, it's always like best hardcore of the 2000s, best post-hardcore, best, like those type of lists.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess just from being in the band and doing the album, I don't know. It like when I'd like to say that when we were recording the record, I'd like to say that at one point we all looked at each other and were like, yes, this is our opus, whatever. But I mean, really, it was just like, this is cool to us. I sure hope people like it now that we're on, Trustkill, and this is our first release on this album, this record label, and it's a follow-up. It's the first thing we've done since No Wings to Speak Of, which people really seem to like. And so I don't know. I mean, it's very flattering. I'm very grateful that so many people, it resonated with so many people. And, but it's just, I don't know. I'm just always, my personality is just, I can never see something that I've created as like super great that other people are going to love, So when I do hear that, it's on these lists and that it's an important album to so many people, it's just like, wow, like I don't get it, but wow, thank you. Because a lot of the times when I'm listening back onto that record, if I ever do, I'm just so focused on like what 21-year-old me or 20-year-old me was playing. Just like, God, I was being really spastic there, and like I didn't really think that part out very good. And I don't know. I just hear every missed hit, every imperfect, hit that I made or didn't make, and it's just I wish I could hear it from the vantage point of a fan or someone that wasn't there when the songs were written and played a million times and practiced a million times and recorded a million times, to get the right take or to not fuck up. So I don't know. I'd love to be able to hear it with fresh ears for the first time as someone who didn't know what was coming.
Yeah, and that's a healthy attitude because I put out an EP a couple years ago, and it was the first time I sang on a record. I was like the front man, and I was like, this is the best record that's ever been recorded. And now everybody else is going to find out. And this is going to be the beginning of my music career at 36 years old. And I'm going to play music for the rest of my life. And it's going to be awesome. And that didn't happen. So,
So Adam, I was in a band with Anthony from Circa Survive before he was in Circa, and because of him being in Circa, a lot of people found this band. And I have not played music since I was 18 years old, 19 years old. Like, I mean, I still have a guitar and I still play at my house. I play, with my kids and stuff, but I have people like, not often, but once in a while, somebody will contact me through like YouTube or Instagram because Anthony will repost a picture of us from when we were younger. And then I wake up in the morning and I have 84 new friend requests.
Oh, wow.
What the fuck who are these people? It's always like some 16-year-old from Southern California. I'm like, who are these kids?
Anthony
And
must
then-
have posted something again with me.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I go and look at it, and he's like, "Here's a picture of us from when we played at the high school dance when we were 16." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right." But then like people will reach out and they'll be like, "That album made this means so much to me," and I'm like, "Really?
Yeah.
Like that's okay, cool. I'm psyched that you're into it. I actually once in a while will go back and listen to it, and I go, wow, we were really bad. Like,
Yeah.
like, we were just like the last thing we recorded, I was really, really happy with. It was a 4-song EP. And Keith, I had the same thing. I was like, wow, we're going to get exposure from this. The songs are really good.
Yeah.
Like Anthony sounds great. Like this is going to be cool. And then I went away to college and JD went away to college. And then we were just like, all right, guess we're not having a band anymore. Because then Anthony called me and was like, yo, I'm in this band in California. And I'm like, what? Like, I thought you were coming up to visit me in school. Like, I have a lacrosse game next weekend. Come on, dude. Like, and he's like, I got to be in California.
Nah, fuck
like,
that.
Holy shit. And like, then, like a month later, he's like, yeah, I'm in this band, Say Ocean. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Like, yeah, this
Well,
is.
Tommy, if this makes you feel better, one of the songs from that 4-song EP is our closing song for the podcast, and
Oh, yeah.
people often ask us what it is.
Oh,
So,
dang.
yeah, so that's
All
a compliment. No one ever asks what the opening song is, but they do ask about the closing song.
It's funny though. It's like Adam, like you were saying, like when you're in the midst of something like that, you don't think about how it's going to be received in 5, 10, 15 years. Like you just go, okay, that's done now. Let's go to Taco Bell. Let's go get something to eat. Like you just live your life. And then, afterwards when people say stuff to you, like I'm always like, we just sent out, we posted a thing the other day of like a bunch of old stickers that a mutual friend had dropped off. And he was like, I had a bunch of these old stickers in my mom's basement. You guys should, just do something with them, give them away, do whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And he was like, we put them on there, and Keith was like, yo, since you have them, can you mail them out for me? I was like, yeah, of course. So people are like, DMing us saying like, I want this and I want this. And I was like, I thought I'm going to be holding on to these stickers forever. I'm going to have to like parse these out, keep them somewhere where I'm going to remember them. And then the stickers were gone in like a day and a half.
Really?
Like, because everybody had fond memories of it, and I had to like text people back and be like, "Yo, I'm sorry, we're out of audience of one stickers," or that I'm
The
sorry.
audience of one stickers were a hot commodity because that's Anthony's first band.
Yeah,
And those are one of a kind. Those were the only ones left in the world all the way back from what, 1999?
Yo, and if anybody sells those on fucking eBay, I'm seriously gonna, like, in my head, I'm going like, if I better go to your house and see this on, like, it better be on an amp when I go to your house.
Yeah.
like because in my head, I'm going like, I'm giving these away to people, and I'm like, are these worth money? They can't be worth anything. But like, somebody posted it today and like mentioned like us in one of their stories, Mitchell.
Yeah.
Post, and I was like, dude, that was so cool because he's right. He's like, if you were involved in late 90s hardcore and you lived in this area, this is what everybody's stickers looked like.
Yeah.
he's not wrong. Every single sticker looked exactly like that. It was like font from.
It was one person making them all.
Yeah, that's true. It was just Keith just making everything.
Yeah.
So how many stickers did you give? Did you have to mail them out, or were you just like local pickup only, or what?
Tommy mailed them out, and I'm so happy that he volunteered to do it. This whole thing was his idea, and it's a great idea because we were just sitting on this stuff, and I would have never done it. I would have never sat there with the envelopes and the stamps and keeping track of the stickers. I just wouldn't have done it. So bless you, Tommy, for doing that.
This is how overworked I was this summer because I was working a couple different jobs, like writing curriculum for different schools. And today when Keith, I was like, oh, I'm so glad we did that. I saw that guy reposted, like Mitchell reposted that. And he was like, yeah, this was your idea. I was like, are you really? I thought this was yours. Like, I really thought it was Keith's idea. Cause like, I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, I'm positive. Like, I would never volunteer to mail a bunch of shit out. I was like, oh, all right.
Seriously, that's the worst. Like, I'd probably have the idea of something like that. Like, oh, I found this pile of Hopesfall stickers. DM me if you want one. And then like after 10 would come in, I'd be like, oh, fuck. Yeah. Okay. New update. I'm not doing this. Sorry.
Exactly. If I can accomplish it by sitting in front of a computer, I will happily volunteer to do it. If I have to go buy something or leave the apartment, I'm not going to do it.
I had to go buy stamps, and I was like, I'm standing there, and I'm like, all right, let me just get stamps. And I got them at the supermarket anyway, so it was just like I was already out. So I was like, I got them, and I came home, and I started looking through the addresses, and I'm like, I don't even know how to mail a letter anymore. Like one of the addresses was like Los Angeles. I'm like, do I have to put 2 stamps on this? Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I think it's just one stamp, and it's those forever stamps. I'm like, all right, cool.
Adam, I have to ask you, while we're on the subject of stickers, did you guys make a bunch of those Josh with the wine glass Hopesfall stickers?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, I did like, there's probably like 250 of those things. Just sitting in a cabinet at work right now.
That's beautiful. I need some of those. Yeah. Now, Josh doesn't seem to be a huge fan of that whole thing.
Oh, no, Josh loves them. Josh loves them. He loves,
okay, good.
He loves all pictures of himself and, especially when it's on a yoga mat and with a glass of wine in hand.
Okay, good. Because I was afraid he was mad about it because I told him, I was like, I used that picture in one of the posts, like for an episode he was on, and he was like, he was like, I hate you for posting that picture. And I was like, dude, this is a now classic picture.
Oh yeah, no, he does hate it. I was being sarcastic, but yeah, he absolutely he hates it. And that's why I did it. You know, so I'm just waiting on the hoodies to come out of production.
Oh, dude, I need some of that. It's such a good picture. He's just like, you know, he looks like he's about to looks like he's about to review like a vineyard. It's great.
I was like, as soon as I think a buddy of mine texted it to me. I'm on like a constant text messaging thread with Josh and then our other buddy Chris Moffitt.
Yeah.
And Chris is always hanging out with Josh, and he always gets some of the best pictures of him. And I think he sent that one through, and immediately I was like forwarded it to the art guy at work, and I was like, all right, I need this picture, and can you just put Hopesfall underneath it in our font, and then bring it on down to me, and I'll do the rest. And he was like, yeah, no problem. So,
did Josh find out by someone putting the sticker on his car?
No, I think as soon as No, he came and visited me at work. He dropped off like a shit ton of beer for me, and I just printed them that day. And I did want to just kind of hold on to them until
Yeah.
like I would maybe sneak one on his car or something like that. But I was just so excited about him. I had to show him before he left, and he's like, dude, he's like, what are you gonna do with those? I was like, I don't know, but I got a lot.
Will that merchandise be available at Hopesfall shows at some point?
Oh yeah, if we play shows for sure, I'll take them with. But I ain't mailing anything out.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Maybe to you. We'll talk later. I can make one trip to the post office.
Yeah, we'll talk. I
Yeah.
would love to have that on my pedal case. That'd be good.
Oh, dude, yeah, I'll get you one. I'll get you one.
Okay. We're talking about satellite years. Okay, so satellite. Yeah, now satellite years. That's exciting. It's a new LP. Your second LP
Yeah.
coming out on Trustkill Records. And Trustkill had an amazing run of bands and records at that time. You have 18 Visions. You have Walls of Jericho. You have Poison the Well, who are massive.
Yeah.
You have who's the
Nora.
other one? Bleeding Through.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Nora.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. I don't think I thought about that until you just started rattling off those bands. Yeah, it was a loaded roster for sure.
So you weren't even thinking about that back then? I'd be like, yo, we're writing this LP. We're recording it with Matt Talbot of Hum. We're coming out on Trustkill Records. This shit's going to be the best.
Dude, no.
Wow.
I mean, for me personally, I can't speak for the other guys, but no, I was just looking forward to, well, I think the most exciting thing was that we were going to be in the studio with Matt Talbot, not just recording an album, but like we were going to be spending like quality time with this dude whose music we've loved, for just being with him for like a few weeks, and we're happy to be making an album with him while we're doing that. But like, I don't know, it was just that. I think that was the most exciting part, honestly. I mean, yes, but yeah, recording what we had practiced and written and, getting it out on that label was all wonderful. And we were all super stoked about that as well. But, I mean, that it just wasn't in my mind like, yes, everything is coming together perfectly and everything's riding on this, or this is going to be awesome or anything like that. It's just the next thing we're doing.
I gotcha. Yeah, see, that's a healthy attitude. I always imagined that whatever I was putting out was going to be the thing that saved me or something, or the biggest thing ever, or I hoped it would be at least. So, I mean, that's a healthy attitude. And I mentioned this when Josh was on. Like, if I were recording a record that was coming out on like a big metalcore / whatever label, and Matt Talbot was recording it, and he was going to guest on a song, and we were playing GoldenEye in between takes. Like, if I die and go to heaven, that's my heaven. That's it.
It sounds really good. Yeah. And I wish maybe I wish I would have been a little bit more understanding of that position that, I was in back then. And looking back on it now and hearing you phrase it the way you did, yeah, that was all very, very special. But I just wasn't in that mindset at the time. But then again, I mean, think about like I was reading a post the other day from a guy on Instagram that I follow, Greg, and he was kind of reflecting on when he was younger and in high school and hanging out at his church with his youth group on like these fall evenings and just wishing that, things could be simpler, like they were back then. But then he kind of remembered like, no, shit sucked in high school. And it wasn't easy being a teenager, when you were there doing it, but
Yeah.
now when you're knocking on 40 and you're looking back, you have a different perspective. And I think that's kind of what, looking back on the satellite years thing, that kind of same, scenarios happening now, things seemed so much sweeter looking back because life hasn't been wearing you down or beating on you, for all these years. But so it's just a little bit of perspective. And back then when you're a teenager, you can't wait to grow up because shit's so much easier when you're an adult. You don't, you'll have a job, you're making money, you got a wife and kid, you don't have to do homework or go to school and do what your parents tell you and all this shit, so you're constantly panning for the other thing that's not right there in your life at that time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How
No.
old were you when you were recording Satellite Years?
Let's see, we recorded in 2002. So I was born in 81, 91, 2001, so like 21, 20, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, especially at that age, it's hard to live in the moment or appreciate the moment. I know I didn't. I don't like, I have a different perspective anyway because most of my life I just spent in the pursuit of getting fucked up, like, drunk or high or whatever else. So I look back on a lot of stuff and say, oh, I didn't appreciate that, or I missed out on that, or I didn't do this, or I should have done this. But now more than ever, I'm doing exactly what I want to do. So much more, I can look at what I'm doing and say, this is fucking awesome. Like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it all now.
Exactly.
So Satellite Years comes out. Now you're touring, and that's when I met you guys. It was August before the record came out, and we were on a tour. And I don't know, did you see a jump? Did before or right after the record came out? Could you feel things kind of heating up?
Yeah. That's when we really started touring. I mean, we had done, before that, I graduated in 99. So we still hadn't toured a lot, and we didn't have, along with Trustkill came management and a what's the word? Tour booking agency. So before that, we were still really only doing just like short little runs that we had booked ourselves, up the East Coast, down to Florida, like over to, like Tennessee and stuff like that. So yes, like we did start noticing an uptick in, attendance and just overall excitement about the band. But I just kind of figured, it's because now we have a booking agent and we're getting on these cool tours. And of course there's going to be a lot of people there. And, I don't know. I was very just really blind to just the overall reception we had.
So yeah, Adam, you ended up leaving the band a couple weeks before the recording of the next record, yes?
Correct. Yeah, right before A-Types was recorded.
Now I'm going to put you on the spot and ask why.
There were a couple factors, but the main one, being completely honest, was a new relationship that I just started with a new girlfriend.
Okay. So you wanted to get off the road?
Yeah, because I felt that my previous relationship was killed by the time that we spent on the road touring Satellite Years.
Mm-hmm.
So we just changed our entire sound. Well, not our sound, but like we went from, screaming, doing very linear, writing, with not repeating a lot of the same parts, to like this more like we're going to take a stab at like, verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, kind of stuff. Jay's going to be doing all singing, just about, 90% singing. It was all new. It was a little scary. And I saw the agenda, coming at me, which was, okay, after we go record this record, it's going to be another straight year of constant touring,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, I was just started this new relationship with this girl that I liked, and I thought, man, I don't I don't know. I don't know if I can go through this again. I just kind of want to be here in Charlotte hanging out with this new girl. And, at the same time, my job was picking up a lot. And I think they were getting a little tired of me keeping on leaving and coming back for like a week at a time and leaving again. But yeah, I mean, let's just say girl.
Are you still with the girl today?
No, that lasted about
Oh.
that lasted about 8 months.
Okay. Well, did it affect your relationship with the rest of the people in the band at all? Was there any hard feelings?
If there was, I was never aware of them. I felt bad on my end, quitting so close to going to the studio,
Right.
and I really wanted to go to the studio and do those songs, and my intention was to just kind of keep that information to myself that I was going to quit until
Mm-hmm.
after we recorded the album.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like something came up in a practice or something like that. We were trying to finish up the rest of the songs because we were running out of time before we had to go to the studio, and um, something came up in practice where we were all just kind of sitting down and talking, about like how we felt about the songs, and I just started, just thinking about it, and it just kind of came out, like, well, I think the songs are good, but I gotta let you guys know, like, I just, this is it for me, and, but I still intend to go record these songs with you guys. So, don't worry about that. But, after that, you're gonna have to find a new drummer. Um, so it was maybe like a few days later, Josh, came over and talked to me, and he was like, hey, um, you know, obviously we had our friend Adam Baker, who was like a really, really awesome drummer here in Charlotte. And I think
Mm-hmm.
it was always known, that, you know, that he would be the next drummer in line. So Josh came over, he's like, hey, um, just to let you know, we're going to ask Adam Baker to come, to the studio and record these songs. If he's going to be in the band and he's going to be the one touring, this record, we kind of like him to make it his own. And I was like, that's fair.
Yeah.
I wanted to do this, but, that was just kind of selfish of me, but absolutely, so, Adam Baker learned the songs that we had written. I think we were like 8 songs into A Types
Mm-hmm.
when I quit. So Adam kind of learned those real quick, and then wrote 2 additional songs with them in the studio, and made that album his own.
So you ended up touring with Hopesfall again during A Types, though, right, Adam?
Yeah, towards the end of A Types, yes.
Yeah. So was it weird to be back now playing those songs? Because now, did you have any weird feelings like, oh, I don't want to play these songs because I didn't record it? Because I get petty like that. Like, if an old band of mine wanted to reunite, I wouldn't play songs that I didn't write, or if there was like a new guy, I'd be petty like that. I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that. Did you have anything like that?
Oh no, I was stoked, cause I guess by that time my relationship, was, I think, over by then, and I just kind of felt like, oh sweet, I got to kind of have my cake and eat it too. So, I get to come back and help the guys out again. And at that point, we had a tour lined up for Brazil, which was, a no brainer. So I was totally grateful that they wanted me to come back and help out with that stuff. So I was stoked. I had no problems playing any of those songs. I loved them. I mean, I was a fan of them. So
Yeah, I guess you were an original member writing them anyway. So
right, yeah, just except 2 of them. So, and I mean, stuff changes a little bit too from the songs I did help write to how what the other Adam put on them. But still, I mean, yeah, what was fun is I actually kind of got to go back and play the songs, some of the songs on A Types the original way that I wrote them, which I I always think it's cool when I'm going to go see a show if if the band or the drummer in particularly does something a little different from what you hear on the album.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that, so I think it worked out pretty sweet, and I was stoked.
That's great. How was that Brazilian tour? Now that seems like an important tour to you guys. I've seen several members post about that. How was that?
It was amazing. It was by far my favorite tour we've ever played. Um, the kids were just so grateful and so happy that we were there playing for them. They speak Portuguese over there, and I mean there was definitely a language barrier, and but like it just didn't matter. Like once the show started, and after the show, once you know we were talking to anybody who wanted to come and talk to us. We somehow made it happen, and everybody was just so happy, and it was just like this euphoric just feeling after each show, and it was just incredible. I don't know how to put it into words.
And it's a beautiful country. Like
It is.
I spent a little bit over 2 weeks in Brazil with my wife, and it was so it was just amazing. Like all of it was just amazing.
What city?
So when we went, my wife's brother was actually an exchange student there, and he was very, very close with the family. So they invited him back to do his, like, he hadn't been there for 10 years. So he was like, oh, I want to come back. And he was completely fluent in Portuguese. So he lived in a place called Arastatuba. We flew into Rio. It was about 4 hours inland by car.
Okay.
So we did Arastatuba, we did Rio, and then where else did we go? We went to a whole bunch of different places, but we just stayed with a family. We didn't stay in a hotel, or we didn't do any like really touristy stuff except for Rio. And it was really nice is because the whole time we were there with people, everybody we were with the sole exception of my wife and myself and my brother-in-law's wife at the time, everybody spoke fluent Portuguese. So they understood the money. They had all of our money changed over. Like when we would like go out, like I'd be like, I'm really hungry. They'd be like, let's go to a restaurant. And they would order in Portuguese. They would have we never got like screwed on anything. Like
Right.
it was so much fun. And the people we stayed with, the guy, it was an apartment building, but the whole top 2 floors of the apartment building were ours. So it's kind of like a double penthouse kind of thing. And I'd never seen people this rich before or been around people this rich before. And I had also never seen poverty like that. That was kind of like eye-opening to me. Was there was seemingly no real middle class. It was people were either affluent and very wealthy and had nice cars, or people worked as maids or servants in houses. It was very, very strange. I felt really guilty a handful of times where we were staying in the house. They had like a gym there. I was like, oh, I'm going to go for a run. So I went for a run on the treadmill, and I came back upstairs, and I got in the shower. I left my dirty clothes on the floor, and I came back out, and my clothes were gone. And I was like, uh-oh, like something's weird here. So I went to my brother-in-law, and I was like, my clothes are gone. He's like, oh yeah, the maid took them. She's probably washing them right now.
Wow.
And sure enough, like after dinner, which was prepared for us, like we came back, the dude was like literally like all my clothes from that day were washed, dried, folded, and put on the edge of my bed. And I was like, oh, this is not cool.
Yeah. I would feel too bad. I'd be like, you don't have to do it. Like I wear the same shit multiple days in a row. It's cool. Like,
I started hiding my clothes, like because I was just like, I don't want them to have to take care. I don't want them to wait hand and foot on me.
Yeah.
But the nice part was, because when we came, we had American money with us. We gave all the maids, because they had 4. We gave all the maids tips in American money. And I remember the one maid, I was like, here. And we had, because we got money to go. So I got money out of the bank. It was like, they gave me like 50s. and I gave her a $50 bill, and she stared at me for a second, and I was like, okay. And she looked at like the father of the family, and then looked back at me, and she was like, I don't know how to split this. And I was like, no, that's yours. Like, that's for you. And she was like, I guess they're used to American money. They've seen it before, but I don't think she'd ever, like, the same way that, how often do you run into a $50 bill? You don't. Like, you
Never.
don't see 50s or hundreds ever, right? So,
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
she was like,
I'm not in that tax bracket.
yeah, me neither. Like, when I got the money out, I was like, I need $800 to go to Brazil, and they were like, all right, here's a bunch of 50s and some ones. I'm like, shit. I should have been more clear about this. I'd like $20 bills so I can like do stuff with it in fives. Like, but yeah, she was like, I've never, like, she actually thought it was fake at first. Like, she was like, I've never seen this before. Like, oh,
it's fake play money.
it's real money, I promise. Like, go spend it somewhere. Go buy nice stuff for you and your kids. Holy shit, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, Adam, did you have like kids singing along and stuff in Brazil?
Yes. Yeah.
That must be amazing. I've been in one hardcore band ever, and you know, my limited time in that band, just to watch people go nuts to songs you write, it's the best feeling in the world. So to be in a foreign country and watching people react to these songs you wrote, it has to be incredible.
Oh yeah. It's just mind blowing. I mean, that's what I was going to get to. Yeah. Just like seeing these kids that can't have a conversation with you after the show's done, but yet you look out and you see these same kids that are trying to interact with you now. You saw them and you remember them being front row singing every lyric, into the microphone. It's just wild, totally wild.
That's incredible. And yeah, you know, I wish I was around for the A-types in the Magnetic North era. I disappeared into partying, and I got really into post-rock, and I just got away from a lot of hardcore. So when I finally got my act together in, what year was it? 2017, and, you know, stopped killing myself, basically, I just kind of picked up right where I left off when I was 20 years old. And I was like, oh, I remember Hopesfall. They were cool. Let me throw in Satellite Years. So actually, it was right before I got my act together. I remember being really, really high and like going to see my psychiatrist, and I was listening to A-types for the first time and Magnetic North, and I was like, wow, I missed out on all these great records. So I wish I could have seen you guys back then. But listen, it all worked out because I got my shit together, and right around the same time, you announced you were getting back together. And I was like, what the fuck? Is this like a sign from the heavens or something? Because I did like a deep dive on you guys, and I listened to a lot of interviews and read a lot of shit, and I just assumed you really hated each other based on things that I read.
Interesting.
And I was like, these guys are never getting back together, you know, like this, it's never going to happen. So I was surprised when I read that you did.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was out again, after I came back and toured on some of the A-type stuff, then they went on and got Jason to play drums and write, for Magnetic North. So I really don't know what the state of the band was other than, hearing Josh talk, towards the end of Magnetic North. I think Josh had been doing it especially for so long.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't think I wouldn't say they hated each other.
Was just, let me clarify, that's just my perception.
Right.
Because
okay.
I know that there was turmoil with the label, but that doesn't have to do with the band. And then I think everyone was out of the band at one point, and Jay might have gotten all new people to finish the Magnetic North tour.
Yeah.
So this is just a leap in logic that I came to for some reason. But so you were out of the band for Magnetic North. It sounds like you kept in touch with Josh. Were you pretty much friendly with everyone still?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So me thinking people hated each other was probably something I just made up in my mind, and that's okay.
Well, I mean, maybe not. I mean, when you're touring with certain people, for so long, you're bound to get sick of each other a little bit here and there. But yeah, I think the end of Hopesfall was definitely, I think Trustkill had more to do with it than actual band member relationships. I think when Trustkill yanked, Josh's favorite song off of Magnetic North without even letting the band know. I think Josh was just like, what am I even doing this for? If this is my music, this is like, our music, and this guy is just going to tell me we can't put this song on the record. Like, all right, done,
Right. And that's what he said too. And it's annoying because that song is not on Magnetic North on Spotify. So I have to then go to YouTube, which Tommy fucking loves, to listen to that song. I wish it was just all on one record on a streaming service.
Was that Saskatchewan?
Yes.
We played that at St. Vitus, or at the shows that we played when Arbiter came out, and that was a lot of fun playing that because I didn't write that, but I really enjoyed playing what Jason wrote, and I just think it was a lot of fun to get out there and play live because a lot of people probably never heard that, and for those the few that did know that song existed, I think it was a little bit of a treat to hear it live. So
I was very happy to see it in the set list, and I'm glad I got to witness it. It was awesome. Yeah.
Spotify's we get so many messages. Why don't you have this on Spotify? Why don't you have that on Spotify? Like I just can't answer every single person the same way. It's like, dude, it's not up to us. We don't own the music, like,
yeah, you don't do it.
Yeah. You can't just tell a band, put this song up. It's your song, put it up there, and okay, yeah, we'll get right on that. And like, of course, if it was up to us, everything we ever wrote would be available to everybody everywhere, but unfortunately, with Trustkill going under, it's, I guess, just the whole licensing and all that of trying to get it up there is just a lot of bullshit that someone's going to have to go through just to make that happen. So I don't know what the answer is to all that.
Right. Is everything with Equal Vision now, or does Trustkill still have those first 3 records?
I think Equal Vision only got the license for the vinyl represses.
I got you.
So yeah, I would imagine that Trustkill or whoever absorbed those rights, still own that the other records.
Okay, so while we're wishing for things, whoever absorbed Trustkill, put Saskatchewan back on Magnetic North and put it on streaming services, just to make my life more convenient.
There we go. Throw that out there.
Thank you. Yes.
We can just go to YouTube. I mean,
yeah, yeah. I do that too. And let's see. I was going to say, we were talking about this in the beginning of the episode. It's funny that you mentioned, with any creative endeavor, with whoever it is, there's going to be turmoil. And that's what Tommy and I talked about in the beginning of this episode. Because, we had some technical things to work through, and I got upset, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't being a dick, basically. So we worked through all of that. So see, with any creative venture, whether it's Hopesfall or whether it's the Northeast Scene podcast, there's going to be things to work through.
That's right. And you got to do it with grace and compassion and all that bullshit.
And
exactly.
I think the biggest thing especially with us, is just remember why we do this. Like, we do this because we really do love it. Like, we love talking about music. We love telling stories about shit. Like, it's just such a big part of why we look fondly back on those times. And it's huge for us because now we actually get to talk to people and ask them questions about okay, so when you were recording this, what did it look like? Or when you guys had these problems, what ended up solving it? Or that type of stuff is just so fun for us because it gives us another outlet to kind of just express ourselves. And at the same time, learn shit. Keith and I just from that argument alone, just learn okay, we can deal with each other in a way that's, calm, and we can work through shit, because ultimately the most important thing is we want this show to survive and we want our friendship to survive. So we got to figure something out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. And this show has to continue. It saves my life. I need every minute to be occupied with something, anything. So, something productive. So plus, and I talked about this a couple episodes ago. Like, I'm 38 now. Tommy's the same age.
yeah, I'm
He's got a wife and 3 kids. I've got a girlfriend and a full-time job, and my girlfriend has a 14-year-old child. We're probably not going to end up as touring musicians.
It's not looking good.
Yeah. So this podcast is perfect because it gives me the connection with the artists that I love, whether they be old or new. We discover a cool band, I can message them, and sometimes they'll come on the show, and that's fucking cool.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes people don't, and that's okay too. I just look at it as they're not here yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
And I mean, once this episode goes live and the world sees you got Adam Morgan on your show, who's going to turn you down?
Nobody.
Exactly.
Nobody. My girlfriend's child had some advice. She's like, you should get artists on who younger people would like too. Like, you should get Billie Eilish. And I was like,
yeah, just do that, dude.
I was like, absolutely. I would absolutely have Billie Eilish on.
Well, we just had Lee Ving from Fear, so
That was a good get, man.
we're getting huge.
That was a good get. That's going to open doors.
When I got off when we got off that podcast, Keith and I were talking, and I was like, "Well, that's the biggest guest I can get." So my dad doesn't have any other famous friends. So we're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
We kind of blew our load on that. Like, we don't have anything left. Like, I got a whole lot of nothing after this.
Oh wait, no, we're supposed to act like we have a lot going on. Yeah.
We got tons.
Yeah, we've got a lot of tricks up our sleeve, folks.
A
So
lot of big guests in the works.
Yeah, Billy Idol, right? Is that what Billy Idol? Whatever.
Billy Idol.
The guy from X. Remember him? That dude.
Billy Idol would be sick too. But listen, we're here talking to Adam Morgan. So
Yeah, there we go. Sorry.
okay.
Come on, guys.
So Hopesfall is dormant for a long time, right?
Yep.
Now, Josh told the story of how the whole thing started coming together again in what, like 2010 or something?
Yeah.
So you guys were going bowling and drinking beers and playing music again, but it was not going to be Hopesfall. It wasn't Hopesfall.
Exactly. Yeah. And even before that, I think Josh was still in the band. Magnetic North was still, was coming out. And me and Chad, the bass player for Satellite Years, we had started playing together, just trying to do shit. And then, we heard Josh, told us that Hopesfall was done, and that Jay was going to do another tour with some other players.
Mm-hmm.
And so then me and Chad were like, let's feel Josh out for a little while. He might just need a little break, but eventually we're like, so you want to come jam with us? And then, I think Josh at that point, when Hopesfall was over, I think he had the mindset of, I'm just going to sell all my guitar shit and I'm done with music. But, that itch came back pretty quickly, and we got him to play with us. And
Think about how mind-blowing that is. He leaves Hopesfall and starts playing with you guys and is writing Hopesfall songs and doesn't even know it.
Exactly. Because then we get Dustin on board. And so it's me, Chad, Josh, and Dustin. Josh and Dustin were the 2 guitar players on Magnetic North and A-Types.
Mm-hmm.
And, me and Chad were there on Satellite Years. So, so then we put together we didn't have a singer, but we had the 4 of us, and we were it was really awesome. Like you said, we were, actually, Chad, okay, hold on. Memory's coming back a little bit. Chad, it was just me, Chad, and Josh for a little while, and our buddy Ethan. And we were writing stuff that was not Hopesfall stuff. It's stuff that we had like 4 songs that we recorded kind of shittily, but well enough. And we called ourselves Contrails. I think there's one of those songs on YouTube right now. But then that kind of fizzled out. And then I think it was me, Josh, and Dustin started getting together. And then Chad lives about maybe 15 miles south of Charlotte. So we just kind of fell out of touch with him for a little while. But then me, Josh, and Dustin started writing music. And then at a Home Failure show, Chad had come into town to go to that show. And, we were talking, having some beers, and we were telling Chad that, us three were playing together again. And Chad was like, well, shit, I'll play, and we're like, oh, well, yeah, of course you will. What? Yeah, fucking come on. Let's. Yeah, so then that's when we started writing these songs that we didn't know were going to be Hopesfall. We were going to call the band Arbiter, which ended up being the name of the album that we went with. But yeah, sorry, that was a lot of rambling right there.
No, it's good to have the backstory. And then you guys went and saw Shiner out in Chicago, and that's how you reconnected with Jay, and he got involved, right?
Yep, correct. So me and Josh flew out to Chicago. We had a couple songs recorded, demoed out, and we stayed with Jay for that weekend. And we knew going up there, we're like, well, let's just feel Jay out. We need a singer. I feels like maybe like a year had gone by at that point, maybe a year or two since Hopesfall, and I remember I ended up going to sleep that night, and Josh and Jay just ended up staying up like all night. And I just remember the next morning I woke up and I was like, Josh, did you talk to Jay about our songs? And he's like, yeah, dude, he's in. I was like, all right, sweet.
That's awesome. And yeah, Arbiter is, Tommy and I were talking about this. I would, depending on the day of the week, I would argue it's the best Hopesfall album. A lot of times a band will go away for a long time and they'll come back, and, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But Arbiter was just a home run.
Oh, thank you, man. I feel the same way.
It feels like everything was leading to that. A-Types were experimenting with more of a rock sound. Magnetic North veered into more dark and, mysterious type stuff. And then it's like Arbiter it's like the formula is perfected. We have everything, and it's just, it's an album I come back to time and time again.
Oh, thank you.
I love the sound.
Yes.
So it's the mixing, the levels, like everything just works on that album. It's really, really well done.
Thank you, man. It is. It's a rocker. I enjoy the tones and the sound and the mixing and all that as well. It's the album that I regretted. Hold on, that's sounding bad. It's the regret that I had leaving Hopesfall. I felt like I never got to put out the album that I wanted to. Like, I love Satellite Years, and it was great, but there was something that still wasn't just everything I wanted to do in an album. So to get this chance to come back to do another album with Hopesfall and to have it recorded where we recorded it, and to record it with Mike Watts.
Yes.
And just to see it all come together, was just perfect. Like it sounded the exact way that I'd always kind of wanted an album that I was going to be on to sound. And I was just so grateful and so excited that all those years later, after I thought that I was in Hopesfall, it's done. It died 15 years ago or 10 years ago or however long it was. And to be able to get one more shot at it, and it came out so well, I was just so excited.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and that Mike Watts must be a genius. He records you guys. He records Gates, another band I love, and that is one of the albums. When I recorded my record, that's one of the albums I gave them was Arbiter. I was like, I want it to sound like this. It's just an excellent recording.
I agree. Thank you. Yeah, those guys know what they're doing, man. They're such professionals. They work so quickly. they set such a good mood and an ambiance and just a feeling in the studio. You feel so comfortable, and you trust them with what they can do, and they just really pulled it all together and made just a really outstanding, in my opinion, sounding record.
Absolutely. It's a classic, and I was really happy I got to see you guys. I hadn't seen you since that tour in, what was it, 2002, and I went to one of the shows at St. Vitus, which was great, and I was looking forward to more, but of course we know that the virus has sidelined a few things. So let's say the world gets back to some semblance of normal and live music happens again. Can we expect more from Hopesfall in the form of more music and more gigs?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, there's more music coming. Uh, I don't know how much I can say, but we got some stuff in the bag already. We're
All right.
just kind of waiting on. So yes, new music will be a thing, and I would like to think. I mean, on my end, I'm good to go. I mean, I can't tour full time, but we definitely had some plans. We were definitely going to do some more Northeast stuff that were in the works, like Massachusetts, some Canada stuff,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a New York thing that we had in the works. But yeah, I'm sure if we can get back to some kind of normal, I'm sure that the interest and the desire from all of us, it was still there, and we'd love to get back out there.
That's fantastic. I'm looking forward to more. And, I just want to say thanks for coming on the show. Hopesfall has been a band that I love for close to a decade now. And, every fall I go back to Satellite Years. That's like one of my fall records. And, just getting to talk to you guys and getting to do this is a lot of fun.
Oh man, thank you, dude. I'm sorry I can't be as smooth and as entertaining as my buddy Josh, but I do appreciate being asked to come on here, and I had a great time talking to you guys.
Oh, now don't say that. You brought it. You brought it. This is going to be a now classic episode. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
Awesome, guys.
Adam, thank you so much. I wish I could, kind of wrap it up in some kind of clean way, but I think the biggest thing is that we really got across that, like, it's making music like this with the people that you love, always, whether people respond to it in the way that you hope for or not. I think one of the things that's been really, really obvious is, like, Adam, you're a super humble person, and you have, like, never had any kind of, like, preconceived notions and no, like, oh, well, I think this is going to be a classic album. It's like, no, we're just making the music we love, and I get to do it with people I want to do it with. So that's a blessing in and of itself. So I'm just so glad I got to be a part of just even talking to you about those times. So thank you so much for coming on. We do appreciate your time, and I know that you're probably itching to get out and start playing again. So hopefully in the near future, when you guys come to the Northeast, Keith and I will meet up and we'll all hang out and, say hello.
Absolutely.
I would say have some beers, but that's not an option.
We're
Wait.
off that now.
Wait, who's not drinking?
Both of us.
Yeah.
Have y'all always been like? Are y'all crucified to the X, dude?
We aren't. Well, I am now by necessity.
Right.
If I have a drink, it's going to end badly. Maybe the end of the podcast. But Tommy, you'll drink occasionally, right?
Yeah, so I can have a drink from time to time. Like when I was down the shore with my family this summer, I had a couple nights where I had like a drink. But I got to the point where, well, depending on your perspective, I either got really good at drinking or really bad at it. I haven't kind of that line was kind of blurred there for a while. And I knew that I needed to slow down, and especially for me, it was like I never felt like I got to get up in the morning and drink. I was never like that, like hopeless kind of alcoholic, but my drinking started to really affect just the way I was in terms of my personality. I just noticed when I drank, I was fun when I drank. The next day I was a monster because I felt like shit. My stomach hurt. I just felt like the hangovers just became too much for me. And the thing is I was like, all right, well, I'm going to do this where I'd do this thing where I would like put like change in my pocket and I would move quarters over every time I had a drink. So I'd put 5 quarters in my pocket and go, I'm only going to have 5 drinks. And then I'd wake up in the morning and realize like I had 12 drinks.
Oh, geez.
And my head is pounding. I don't know where the quarters are anymore. And
Used them to buy more drinks.
Yeah, like it was just it was a nightmare. And the thing is, it's like as an adult drinking, it's really fun to go out and like be casual. I can still go to social functions and like have a beer, but the whole idea of like I've been at things like for work and people are like, let's do shots, and I'm always like, I don't do shots, and they're like, have one. So this was a trick. I think I actually mentioned this on here before, but my trick was I would take the shot and put it in my mouth, and then I would always have a beer, like because I had the beer in the first place, and spit it into the beer bottle.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to a bartender before, and or maybe I saw this in the movie Coyote Ugly. The woman's a bartender, and that's what she does, like to make it seem like she's doing a shot with you, but doesn't get drunk so she can keep doing her job.
So then she would sip the beer and spit it in the beer.
Yeah.
So I stole that idea from remember Opie and Anthony that used to be on? They used to do these like live events. Yeah. And the one time Anthony was talking about, he's like, people come up and give you shots, and he goes, after the third one, you're like, I don't want to do any more shots. Like, I got to go home and do the radio show's on at fucking 6:00 in the morning. Like, I can't be out all night with you guys. So he goes, just to be polite to people, I would just take the shot and then spit it into the beer bottle. So that's what I started doing. And, at work functions, it's never more like people are like, have a shot. And it's like, okay, I'll have one. And then I just spit it in my beer. And then I go, okay, I got to go. Bye.
Yeah.
The girls have soccer practice or, like
I did my shot. I have to drive home now. Bye.
Yeah. Like, let me go get in a 3,000-pound metal and plastic missile and go drive 55 miles an hour. Exactly. Hold on a second.
So that's it. I'm Edge by necessity. Tommy is mostly Edge.
Yeah, just by choice at this point. I'm not into it anymore.
Yeah. Well, we'll get up and we'll have some sparkling soda water.
Yeah, there's that Mexican spot right next to St. Vitus. We're gonna have some Mexican Cokes and some tacos, and it's gonna be
Coke.
It's gonna be fucking good.
I can party like that too. It's fine.
Oh yes, Adam, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon. There you have it, folks. Adam Morgan of Hopesfall. Yo, everybody in that band is just so nice and cool.
Yeah. This is such a North thing to say, but I always feel like that people that I meet that are from the South that have like a little bit of an accent, I'm always like, wow, they're so polite. It's almost like when you meet someone with an English accent, you're like, wow, they're really smart. It's like they can be, I'm just reading into your accent as much as but no, what's really kind of mind blowing to me is that, they've all started with this same kind of thing. And you made that connection with Steve is like, they were all drawn into this type of music through, church.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to think about making that connection. Cause you and I both grew up Catholic, going to Catholic school, nothing about music was ever off the table. No one ever said you can't listen to this because it's not in line with, Catholic doctrine. I remember going to church and seeing people with Nirvana shirts and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine growing up and then having something be so, controlling. That's a weird.
Yeah, I was allowed to watch anything as long as it didn't have sex in it, which is fucked me up for whole different reasons. But there was never any limits on music. I got in trouble for some of the music that I had, but I still had it,
Yeah, my mom, same thing. I remember I had Slayer's South of Heaven
Yeah.
Was it South of Heaven or was it Rain and Blood? I just remember there's a song by Slayer called Altar of Sacrifice. And I remember I was in my room and I had it on, and it was like I had like one of those little CD boom boxes I had gotten for Christmas. And there's a part in this song where it's just kind of like a break before the solo. And he literally just goes, "Enter to the realm of Satan." And I was like, my mom literally opened the door at that moment. I was like, oh no. Like this is gonna be an issue. She's gonna, because like that was all during that like satanic panic. Like everybody thought their kids were like worshiping the devil and all that stuff. And I'm like, my mom has gone back and forth between being very religious and kind of being like not involved in it. But I knew at that moment, I'm like, oh, she's going to totally be upset about this. And for some, she didn't. She was just like, your music is way too loud. I don't think she understood what he said because he was kind of shouting it, but it was clear he said it. I was like, oh my God, I'm in so much trouble. And she was just like, you have to turn this down. It's way too loud. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, and I had no idea Ryan Parrish was still in the band during the recording of Satellite Years.
Yeah.
That is brand new news to me.
I get confused, especially my thing is you do really well with that, like in terms of lineup changes and like how it changed from album to album. I tend to not know that stuff unless it's things like I know Zayo a little bit, like who was on what albums and like when people started being on albums, like, but everything else, I always like, I don't know it. And I think it comes back to the whole thing with like sometimes with hardcore, like, remember we were talking to Mike Shaw and he was like, oh, I'm going to go see 108. And he's like, I should have studied before I went.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think that unless the band had like super like inspirational lyrics, like where I go, like, I like what they're saying. I just kind of always ignored the vocals were just another part, like the guitar or drums.
I do now. I never look at lyrics anymore, ever. I just don't care. And unless it's something, unless I'm seriously gripped by it.
You know what got me? That you turned me on to them. That band Crafter.
Yes.
They have really good lyrics. Like there's a song where he says, I'm going to learn to reverse the hurt. I'm going to learn to find myself. I'm going to do, and it's all these like really inspirational things. And whenever I'm working out, I always have that on and I'm like, this is so good. Like these guys remind me of why I like hardcore. It's those things. It's that sing along kind of.
It's
like
perfect. It's perfect, heavy and melody. I think they just released their last songs or something. I got to check that out. Check out Crafter, people. They're really good melodic hardcore.
Super good.
They just broke up. Some of the guys are starting a new band. I forget the name of it. I gotta see what that's about.
Start with Lasting Efforts. That's the song, man. That's the one.
That they played near me, and I didn't have anyone to go with. I didn't want to go to a hardcore show alone. It's not that fun to just stand there and not know anybody, so I didn't go. But that's why you need to move up here.
I always think about that. I had a question. I was thinking about this. So when your girlfriend's daughter goes to school, does she walk to school? Does she take a bus? Does she take the subway? Does she get on a school bus? How does that work?
I guess she takes the subway. I'm not even sure because the school is in Brooklyn.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm guessing. Yeah, it's got to be the subway. Oh, so we talked about this let's talk about some show stuff.
Okay.
Now we talked about it during the discussion with Adam. Are the stickers all gone?
No. Hold on.
What do we have left?
All right. So I have 1, 2. I have 2 This Day Forward and 3 Boz Henna.
Okay.
That's what's left.
So these are original stickers from back when these bands were active.
Yeah.
The first stickers the band ever had. We got 2 This Day Forward. We got 3 Boz Henna. Some excellent bands. If you want them, message Tommy on the Instagram, the NE Scene. He'll send it out to you. And if you don't want them, I'll take them because those bands are awesome.
Yeah. I was going to say, I almost was like, all right, I'm going to keep some of these for me. But then I go, I have stickers of...
we know the bands. Like, we lived with them. We toured with them. Like, we can give it away.
Yeah, I don't need it. And I think that I have, over the years, like, parted ways with a lot of things in hardcore just because I know other people are going to appreciate it way more than I do. It's just because, like, it sits... I have a whole... The only thing I can't part with is I kept... when went through all my old CDs, and like the ones that like I had a real reaction to, I kept. So I kept the first At the Drive-In CD that I had, Disembodied stuff I kept, like CDs that really meant something to me, but that's it.
What was I going to do? Oh, we got a new review. Let's talk about
Yes.
that. We got a new review from Mike Miggs. He says, great sounding podcast. Great sounding podcast, can hear everything very well. Equal sound levels with the hosts and guest. That's a plus for me. Keith and Tom are great interviewers. Keep it up. Now, thank you, Mike, for writing that. I am insane about the sound. You can ask Tommy. Maybe too much. We talked about that in the beginning. And that, like I was mentioning, I want this thing to sound great. I hate when podcasts sound cheap. I don't want us to sound like that. And we owe part of our great sound to Mr. Richie Taver,
Yes.
who mixes each episode for us when we're all done. Shout out to Richie. If you if you have a podcast and you're looking for mixing help, he may be able to help you out. So message us and we'll get you in touch with him. His Instagram name has a lot of underscores, so I don't know how to say it, but I can get you in touch with him. So shout out to Richie. And speaking of Richie, he turned me on to this band. I got some band recommendations for you. Ready?
Go.
He turned me on to this band, Frail Hands.
Frail Hands. Okay.
Yeah, and their record is Parted/Departed/Apart.
Okay.
It's right up our alley. Good shit. And I'll give you one more. Gatherers. The song is The Floorboards Are Breathing.
Okay.
It's from their 2018 album, We Are Alive Beyond Repair. And both of those bands are on our playlist, our Spotify playlist. So hit the link in our Instagram and you can check out that and a lot more stuff.
It's not a band yet. I don't think they're not a band yet. Let's put it that way. But I have to find it on Instagram and I can't. I'll find it later and I'll post something about it or put it up because it is, Keith, I've tagged you in it before. It's just a guitar player.
Yeah.
From, I think he's from like up like Boston, like New England area, right? Dude, this kid is so good and he writes really technical math rock stuff, but he does it on acoustic. Mm-hmm. And I was so excited about it because he put a track with electric guitars on and it was him and another guy playing together. And it was so good that I texted TJ and I was like, I don't know if they have a drummer, but you need to get in contact with these dudes like right away because they are incredible. I can't believe I can't find the name of it. But as soon as I do, hold on. How would I find it has something to do with, okay. Ramparts 413. Ramparts 413. It says Walmart brand emo math rock, Massachusetts. He literally is, dude, it's incredible sounding stuff. And I'm telling you right now, he posts sometimes 2-3 times a day. Super prolific, really smartly done. And he does something that I think that a lot of people don't do really well is he keeps those kind of like twinkly kind of like Midwest emo sound notes on the high strings, but he's able to do the bass notes at the exact same time. And he comes up with these they're well timed and well planned. And they're really, really like when you hear them, I'm like, when I hear them, I almost picture a movie scene in my head. Like that's how good they are. They're like, damn, dude, this is like some very, like if there's a part in the movie where someone finds out they have cancer or like someone's dying and they're like, this is their dying breath. Like this is like, it's that kind of like, wow, this is just fucking phenomenal shit. Like it's so good. Ramparts 413, that dude.
Nice. I'm going to check it out. So listen, folks, follow us on Instagram, the NE Scene. Follow us on Twitter, the NE Scene. I am tempted to like start raising hell on the Twitter account just to try to get more people to our. But I don't know if I want to do that. We'll see.
I'm on my third Twitter account.
You have 3 Twitter accounts now?
I just don't know how to use it, and I was so confused because you sent me a text the one day and you were like, "Yo, somebody posted this on Twitter," and then I was like, "Okay," so I signed up, and it was like, hey,
Just write it down. You're clogging up Twitter with all your accounts. You keep forgetting the name and password of.
Yeah, and you know the worst part is, and it says like I know I have multiple accounts because you've told me you can see them, right?
Yes.
So like when I go into the page and it says, you know, forgot your password, and I type in my email address, and it's like there's no such Twitter associated with these. I'm like, there has to be. Like, this is I signed up for this for sure.
Well, listen, we have more important things we have to sort out first. So your many Twitter accounts are going to have to sit there. So listen, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Rate us and review us on Apple Podcasts. We like that. We love that. We'll read your reviews on the air. Write us at northeastscene@gmail.com. That's northeastscene@gmail.com. We need emails. We want more. We want your experiences. Write us. You know, maybe we'll read it on the air. Who knows? And we want to hear from you. We want you guys to be a part of this thing too. And I don't know. That's all I can think of. Anything else?
No, that's it, man.
All right. So thanks again to Adam for coming on the show. That was fucking awesome.
Yes.
Thank you, Tommy, for being patient with my many outbursts. There's not actually outbursts. I wanted to make sure I wasn't being crazy.
I think the thing is you put it really well. Is you were like, consistency is key with this, and if we sound the same, we're always producing stuff. Every week we have new content. That's what people are attracted to, and that's what people are going to get interested in. Is like, okay, this is something I can pop on and be entertained by for however long they get to listen to, whatever their commute is or however long their shift is. And you're right though. Like, and it's the nice part is now I'm going to get my microphone problem fixed when my microphone arrives tomorrow. And next week when we record, we will have a brand new sound coming from me. Hopefully it'll be infinitely better than what I have right now, but we'll see. I'm anxiously like, I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous because in my head I'm going, all right, I ordered this from Best Buy. This isn't like some hole in the wall place. It's not secondhand from eBay. Like, this is going to be a good one. And then in my head, I'm going like, if I get this and it's a dud and it doesn't work, Keith is going to fucking lose his mind.
No, I'm not. All right, before we conclude, listen to how funny Tommy is. He ordered a bootleg microphone from eBay. Yeah. So I said, listen, send that back, sell it, whatever. Order the microphone from a legitimate retailer who will ship it in a few days. He's like, got it, no problem. So he orders it from like Tom and Jerry's hole in the wall music store in North Dakota, and then it's on back order for 3 weeks. And I'm like, dude, order it. I sent him a link. I'm from Best Buy. I'm like, dude, order this mic. It ships in 2 days. Like,
and I did. What? I did though. But
but after 3 times.
But that place seemed like, here's the thing. Steve even vouched for me. He's like, oh yeah, I've ordered stuff from that place. It was a reputable place. Steve vouched for it. He goes, I've ordered stuff from there before. But yeah, it did not, like, they kept just sending me emails saying like, hey, it's going to be shipped in the next couple days. And then I got another email saying you'll receive your product in 7 to 10 days. And it's like, what is going on here? So I finally ordered the one from Best Buy, and then I had like a screaming match with the guy to try to cancel my order from this other place. And I'm like, he's like, well, it's actually here now. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, it was supposed to be here 3 weeks ago. And he's like, well, I'm really sorry. It's already in the system. I'm like, I'm telling you this right now. If you send it to me, I'm going to immediately just return it. You have a full return policy. Please just save yourself the aggravation. Cancel the order now. He's like, well, it's already in the system. I can't cancel it. Finally,
this is like that Seinfeld where Elaine orders the pen and then she gets it from somewhere else and the guy keeps calling her. And that's what I was thinking of.
Exactly that. But finally, like, immediately, after I got off the phone with him and I was like, hoarse from like being like, no, stop. Like, I sent Keith the text. The guy in like, it must have been like, he was like, all right, Jess, do it like right now, because
you got the money back.
Yeah, within 5 minutes, it was like, your PayPal account has been credited with $137. I was like, yes, thank you.
So Tommy's going to have a brand new mic and he's going to sound even better.
Yep.
And the show will be taken to new heights that no one can measure.
Yes.
And we will continue growing and being awesome. So listen, keep listening. What can I say?
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, everybody. And until next time.